They said, "You only have $7 to your name," but I had more than they could see. You see, the $7 were just part of the illusion, the curtain. Behind it, in the silence of my soul, I was already rich. I closed my eyes and I saw what they couldn't. I saw my name engraved on buildings. I saw success greeting me like an old friend. I felt it. I lived it. Before a single dollar came. The moment you accept the outer world as truth, you've already surrendered your power. The moment you say, "I'm broke, I can't," or "it's too late," you've stepped out of creation and into illusion. But I stayed loyal to the unseen vision. I did not chase riches. I assumed them. I did not wait for millions, I walked in them. When I had only $7 cents, I would lay in silence and enter a world where I was already free. I would imagine my bank account overflowing, not to make it happen, but because in my soul it had already happened. That is the secret, to walk in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To feel now what you once believed you needed to wait for. You are not here to prove. You are here to become. I became a millionaire in mind, and the world had no choice but to follow. That $7.00 was the test. Would I define myself by it, or would I transcend it? I chose transcendence, and in doing so I unlocked something greater than money. Unlocked dominion, creation, power. And when $800 million 0 cents finally came, I did not celebrate as a man surprised. I smiled, like someone who had already lived it 1,000 times before. They told me I was broke. That $7 in my pocket meant I had nothing. But they didn't understand. My wealth was never measured by the number in my account. It was measured by the depth of the image I held within. Because all riches, all abundance, all transformation begins in the mind, not in the world. What they couldn't see was that I had already become wealthy, long before the world showed me proof. When I looked at that $7.00, I didn't see lack. I didn't see a limitation. I didn't say I'm poor. I said, this is temporary, and more than that, I knew it. I felt the truth that I am the source of everything I experience. And that means that no amount of money, no bank balance, no external evidence could ever dictate what I was truly worth. I wasn't just holding on to a dollar bill, I was holding on to a vision. The world tries to convince you that the power is outside of you, that success is something you chase, something you earn through struggle, something you arrive at after years of sacrifice. But I had already arrived. Not physically, but internally. I was already living in a new world, one where wealth flowed freely, where my name echoed in rooms I hadn't stepped into yet. Not because I had proof, but because I had imagination. And imagination is everything. When I closed my eyes, I saw a version of myself far removed from that moment. Not a man with $7.00, but a man with millions. I saw myself walking differently, speaking with confidence, carrying a presence that could not be ignored. And most importantly, I felt it. Not as something I hoped for, but as something that already was. That's the secret. Living in the end, embodying the result before it ever shows up. Most people look around and let what they see determine who they are. But I did the opposite. I let who I decided to be reshape what I saw. I refused to let a number define me. Because that's not how creation works. The truth is, you don't get rich by hustling harder. You get rich by seeing yourself as already rich. You don't become successful by struggling to prove yourself. You become successful the moment you claim it inwardly and move as though it's already done. And this isn't fantasy, this isn't make-believe, this is the only real power you have. Everything you experience begins within you. Every dollar, every opportunity, every relationship, every breakthrough. It all flows from the image you hold, the identity you accept, and the state you live in. And I chose to assume the version of me that had already overcome, already achieved, already broken through. And the moment I became that man in imagination, the world began to rearrange itself around me. The $7.00 didn't change overnight, but I did. And because I changed, everything else eventually had to. That's the law. The outer world mirrors the inner one. And if the inner is filled with confidence, belief, vision, and unwavering conviction, then the outer will rise to meet it. That is the true seed of wealth, not a bank account, but a belief, not a check, but a choice, not circumstances, but consciousness. I didn't need investors. I didn't need luck. I needed only one thing: faith in the unseen. And with that faith, I nurtured the vision daily, fed it with feeling, protected it from doubt, and carried it within me like a treasure. So yes, I started with $7.00, but I held $1 million in my mind, and that mind, when disciplined and directed, has the power to create empires. The world thought I was broke, but I was already building wealth in the only place that mattered: within. The moment I looked at the $7.00 in my wallet, I knew I had a choice. I could stare at it, analyze it, stress over it, let it dictate how I felt, and spiral into doubt. Or I could ignore it completely, not out of denial, but out of understanding. I understood something most people never learn. The power is not in the current fact, but in the assumed outcome. I didn't dwell on the $7.00. I didn't give it the authority to define who I was. Instead, I dwelled in the feeling of the end. I assumed the result. I chose to live mentally in a world where I had already won. It's easy to get caught up in what you see: the bills, the lack, the delays, the unanswered prayers. But the secret is this: if you want the world to change, you must refuse to let the world decide how you feel. You must feel the way you would feel if everything you wanted was already yours. That is the essence of power. That is the path to transformation. I did not wake up every day thinking, how do I stretch this money? I woke up every day and stepped into a state of mind where I was already wealthy. I didn't ask, where will the money come from? I declared, it's already mine. I spoke, thought, moved, and rested as someone who had already reached the mountaintop. I didn't let the present moment fool me, because I knew circumstances are always lying to those who don't understand the truth. And the truth is, your reality begins with what you assume to be true. Assuming the end means you don't wait to see it before you believe it. You believe it and then you live as if it's already done. You're not faking it. You're not pretending. You're stepping into a new state of being, one where the desire has already been fulfilled. And when you do this, something shifts. Not just inside you, but around you. The people you meet, the doors that open, the chances that come, they begin to align with the version of you that you've accepted in consciousness. I did not live in hope. Hope waits, hope pleads, hope begs. I lived in knowing. I moved with the certainty of someone who didn't need to hustle or chase, because in my world the outcome had already occurred. I walked into rooms with nothing in my pocket but everything in my mind. I stood before opportunities that didn't exist yet, but I spoke to them as if they were already there. Because to me, they were. My assumption was not based on logic. It was based on identity. I became the man who had what he wanted. I lived in that mental space. I felt it as deeply as I could. And the world slowly, then suddenly caught up. When people asked how I stayed so calm, so focused, so confident while being broke, I smiled. Because I wasn't broke. I was rich in belief. I was wealthy in conviction. I had invested all of myself into the future I had already claimed. And I never withdrew that investment. That's the mistake most people make. They switch states too often. They waver. They get distracted by appearances. They let fear become their guide. But I stayed with the feeling. I stayed with the end. I nurtured it. I believed in it more than the evidence in front of me. And that is why I succeeded. That is why I multiplied those $7.00 into millions. Because I didn't wait for it to happen. I lived like it already had. I did not assume the struggle, I assumed the result. I didn't fixate on the process, I focused on the outcome. I saw myself as powerful, abundant, and free, and that image, that state, that feeling, it shaped the world around me until it was no longer just a vision, but a reality. Poverty is not the absence of money, it is the presence of a lie the mind believes and the body lives out, a lie that says, this is who you are, this is all you'll ever have. But I refused that lie. I refused to let the outer world speak louder than my inner knowing. When I held those $7.00, I didn't see poverty, I saw an invitation, a test, a question. Will you believe what you see, or will you believe what you know? The world told me I had nothing. It pointed to numbers, to circumstances, to statistics, but I knew none of that mattered, because I had already discovered the truth. What you experience is only the echo of your inner state. The outer world, no matter how solid it may seem, is a reflection, a shadow. It is not the cause, it is the result. And so I didn't fight the shadow. I changed the source of the light. I turned within. People ask how I made millions from $7.00. The answer is simple. I never accepted that $7.00 is the limit of my life. I understood that the true currency of this world is not money, but consciousness. And I was rich in that. I had wealth in vision. I had abundance in imagination. I had a vault full of belief. And that belief, that unseen power, began to write a new story. You must understand this. The mind, when left untamed, accepts anything the world throws at it. It bows to fear. It kneels before doubt. It becomes a slave to limitation. But when you awaken, when you realize that every moment is yours to shape, that the world outside cannot define the power within, you become unstoppable. That's what happened to me. I didn't deny the $7.00. I transcended it. I looked at it and smiled, knowing it had no authority over me unless I gave it some. The truth is, most people are not poor because they lack money. They are poor because they have accepted a poor image of themselves. They wear the identity of struggle. They rehearse lack in their thoughts. They believe in limitation more than they believe in possibility. But I chose differently. I chose to see myself as someone who already had it all. And from that state, everything changed. I didn't wait for the money to feel successful. I felt successful and the money came. I didn't ask for proof, I became the proof. I walked in faith, not the kind that begs, but the kind that knows. I knew the truth and I lived by it. That the outer world is plastic, malleable. It bends to the inner conviction of the one who refuses to settle for what is seen. Every great transformation starts here in the invisible. In that sacred space within you where you dare to dream a new dream. Not because the world agrees, but because your soul insists. I let that inner reality speak louder than fear, louder than facts, louder than the voice of the past. I turned inward and found wealth, and that wealth began to rise like a tide, slow and certain, until it drowned every lie I had once believed. Poverty is a mindset, and once you see through it, you can never be trapped by it again. I passed the test not by collecting more, but by becoming more, by knowing that everything I desired already existed within me, waiting for me to accept it, to feel it, to live from it. That $7.00 wasn't the end, it was the beginning. It wasn't a sentence, it was a question. And I answered it with truth, with power, with vision. I didn't wait to become rich to feel wealthy. I didn't wait for a number in a bank account to validate who I was. I lived from the state of abundance long before the world had any evidence of it. I became the millionaire in consciousness before I ever made my first million. I walked, spoke, moved, and rested as if it were already mine, not as if it might happen, but as if it already had. This is the difference most never understand. They live toward their dreams, always reaching, always chasing. But I lived from mine as though I had already arrived. This is the law. Whatever you assume to be true, consistently and without contradiction, must harden into fact. And I assumed wealth. Not one day, not someday, but now, in this moment, in every moment. I did not act like someone who was on the way to riches. I acted like someone who already possessed them. I trained my mind to dwell in the end. I clothed myself in the feeling of fulfillment, and because I was faithful to that inner world, the outer world had no choice but to rearrange itself around my conviction. When you live from the state, you stop striving, you stop forcing, begging, manipulating, you stop exhausting yourself trying to make it happen. Instead, you rest in the knowing that it is already done. The doing flows naturally from the being. Action no longer comes from lack, but from alignment. Every step you take, every word you speak carries the vibration of completion. You're not trying to get there, you're simply expressing where you already are in consciousness. I would go about my day not as someone trying to become wealthy, but as someone whose wealth was established. When I made decisions, I made them from that higher identity. When I spoke to others, I spoke with the calm, certain tone of one who had nothing to prove. I didn't shrink in conversations. I didn't act desperate. And I certainly didn't let the world convince me to doubt what I knew in my spirit. Because I wasn't playing a part, I was the part. The state had claimed me and I had claimed it in return. Living from the state means refusing to argue with appearances. It means you no longer let your senses dictate your belief. Even when the bank account was nearly empty, even when people doubted me, I didn't return to the old mindset. I stayed where I belonged, anchored in the assumption of abundance. And that assumption carried me. It opened doors I didn't know existed. It attracted the right people, the right ideas, the right moments, all aligned with the state I chose to dwell in. The moment you begin to act as if your desire is already fulfilled, you awaken power. Not just emotional power, but spiritual authority. You step into alignment with your true nature, the one that is never in lack. This world is moved by faith, not blind hope, but embodied faith, the kind that walks like it's already done, the kind that doesn't waver, the kind that doesn't look for permission from the outside. I did not wait, I became. And the becoming was not gradual, it was immediate in consciousness, even if the manifestation took time. But because I was already there within, the journey didn't feel like waiting. It felt like watching a delayed reflection catch up to me. I didn't doubt the mirror just because it lagged. I knew what I was projecting, and I knew it had to come. So I invite you, stop living toward the life you want, start living from it. Don't act as if it's coming, act as if it's already here. Dress like it, walk like it, speak like it, think like it. That's how you shift timelines. That's how you collapse delay. That's how you become what you already are. Live from the state, not in hope, not in effort, in knowing. I didn't get here by wishing once. I didn't imagine it once and forget about it. I return to the image daily, sometimes hourly, not out of desperation, but out of devotion. Repetition is not for the world, it's for the mind. It's how the inner soil accepts the seed of a new reality. I wasn't trying to force anything. I was simply affirming what already existed in me. Over and over again, I returned to that image of myself. Powerful, wealthy, secure, free. And with every repetition, it grew more real. First in my mind, then in my world. This is what most people miss. They assume that one burst of inspiration is enough to change their lives. But a single thought, no matter how beautiful, is like a spark. If it's not fed with attention, it dies out. So I fed it. I gave it life by returning to it. I saw myself sitting in rooms I hadn't entered yet. I saw bank balances that had yet to exist. I walked through my days with a feeling of completion. It wasn't about hoping, it was about knowing and reminding myself of that knowing again and again. Repetition is not about control, it's about alignment. I wasn't trying to bend the world to my will, I was bending my own awareness to match the truth I had chosen. When doubt whispered, I returned to the image. When fear spoke, I went back to the state. When nothing in the outside seemed to change, I went deeper within. I didn't panic. I didn't chase. I embodied. That's the difference between those who manifest and those who merely wish. They don't let the outer world shake the inner conviction. I didn't repeat affirmations like a robot. I felt the truth behind them. I tasted the reality I was imagining. I made the vision feel like memory, as if it had already happened. The more I returned to it, the more natural it became. It stopped feeling like a dream and started feeling like home. The mind doesn't reject what feels familiar, so I made success familiar. I made wealth comfortable. I made abundance normal. And once it became normal in my consciousness, it had to show up in my life. People saw the millions, but they didn't see the mental rehearsal. They didn't see the quiet moments where I turned away from the noise of the world and returned to myself. They didn't see me close my eyes and feel the weight of a future that had already happened in my mind. And yet, that's where the real work was done. Not in the hustle, not in the grind, but in the consistent returning to a truth greater than circumstance. The world moves according to pattern. Repetition carves that pattern deep into the fabric of your reality. It's how belief becomes automatic. It's how the old story loses power. You can't just touch the new image once and expect transformation. You have to live with it, walk with it, fall asleep with it, wake up with it, until it becomes the only story your mind accepts. That's how the world catches up, not by force, but by resonance. I didn't chase, I didn't beg, I became. And I became by repetition, quiet, steady, unshakable repetition. I wasn't looking for signs. I was embodying the signal. I wasn't hoping to attract wealth. I was tuning into the frequency where wealth already existed, and once I locked into it and stayed locked in, the world had no choice. It had to reflect what I consistently assumed to be true. That's the secret. Repetition creates reality, not through striving, but through saturation. The image you hold most often becomes the life you live, so choose wisely, then return to it, again and again, until there is no difference between who you are and who you imagine. No one saw it but me, no one believed it but me, and still I walked forward as if the outcome were already secured. My $800 million, 0 cents, was not the fruit of hustle or grind, nor was it the gift of coincidence or luck. It was born from something far more subtle and infinitely more powerful. Faith in the invisible. A quiet, persistent inner knowing. I felt it long before the world gave me permission to. I trusted it when there was nothing yet to hold in my hands. Because faith does not look for evidence. Faith creates it. Most people think power lies in action, in doing more, pushing harder, staying busy. But the only true power is inner conviction, unshaken belief in what cannot yet be seen. I didn't need proof to believe. I didn't wait for confirmation to trust. I knew what was mine before it came. I lived in the certainty that my inner reality was the only reality that mattered. And because I remained faithful to that unseen world, the seen world eventually rearranged itself around it. Not overnight, but inevitably. When I had only $7, what I really had was vision. I had the wealth already held in consciousness. I saw myself walking into buildings I didn't yet own. I saw deals closing. I saw my face on magazines, not because I was fantasizing, but because I had already moved into that version of myself in mind. That was the work. To see what others couldn't and keep seeing it. Even when life showed the opposite, especially then. Faith doesn't make a lot of noise. It doesn't beg. It doesn't argue. And it doesn't explain itself. It's still, but strong. It doesn't care what's in your bank account or what your friends say or how your day looks. It speaks from within and says, this is already done. And if you dare to believe it, truly believe it, the world begins to change, not because of your effort, but because of your alignment. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know how it would unfold. That's not faith's job. Faith doesn't deal in details. It deals in assumption. It assumes the end and walks in it. I didn't ask the world to prove anything to me. I became the proof. I moved like a man who already had it, not because I was pretending, but because I had touched a deeper truth within myself. And that truth carried me. That's what faith does. It carries you where reason can't. There were days the world laughed, days nothing added up, days when quitting would have made more sense than continuing. But faith doesn't need things to make sense, it just needs to be felt. So I felt it, I fed it, I protected it. While others clung to facts, I clung to vision, and in the silence of those choices, my fortune began to form. Not with noise, not with spectacle, but with the slow, sacred unfolding that faith always delivers. The money came, the opportunities came, the reputation came, but those were not the miracle. The miracle happened long before, when I decided to believe in something no one else could see. That's the moment everything changed. That's when the world began to bend, not to my ego, but to my faith. So if you're waiting for the outside to change, stop. Go inward. Find the vision, plant it. Then water it daily with your attention, your gratitude, your inner certainty. That's all you need. Because faith in the invisible is not passive, it's the most active force there is. It builds the unseen bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. And if you can trust that bridge without seeing it, you'll walk right into the life that's already yours. It was never really about the $7. It was never about the numbers, the odds, or the visible circumstances. It was always about who I became in consciousness. I didn't wait for wealth to believe I was wealthy. I believed first and the world followed. I lived from the end. I rejected the lie of limitation. I repeated the vision until it became real. And I held unshakable faith in what no one else could see. That is how $7.00 turned into $800 million 0 cents. Not by force, but by alignment. Everything you desire is already within you, not in some distant future, but here, now, waiting for your recognition. You don't need to beg, chase, or prove. You need only to assume, to feel, and to know. Your imagination is the birthplace of all you will ever have. Guard it, honor it, and walk boldly in the direction of what your soul already claims as true. Thank you for walking this journey with me, where the unseen becomes seen and the impossible becomes inevitable.
In this world, to walk with an anointed spirit is to carry a quiet but fierce power. You know it not from the praise of others, but from a whisper within, a certainty as profound as the dawn. You are not here by accident, nor have you been given a common path. There is a calling stitched into the very marrow of your bones, and that calling is your anointing. In the quiet of one's own mind, there can come a knowing that feels less like discovery and more like remembrance. For those who walk with an inner anointing, there is a sense of purpose that does not need validation, explanation, or fanfare. It is an inward certainty, a core recognition of a path to be followed, a mission to be lived, a calling that can neither be denied nor dismissed. This is not a purpose found in the fleeting titles or accomplishments that the world prizes. It is a sense so deep and so foundational that it feels as though it has always been there, awaiting only the right moment to reveal itself. Those who hold such certainty carry a quiet strength that does not rely on external markers of success. In fact, to them, these markers can seem almost trivial in light of their purpose. While others may find themselves propelled by ambition or the pursuit of validation, the anointed soul is compelled by something much more profound, an inner calling that speaks louder than any external applause. This calling exists independent of circumstance. It is as true in solitude as it is in the company of others. Its voice may be soft, yet it is unyielding, creating an anchor that holds steady regardless of the storms that arise in life's journey. This inward purpose brings with it a unique kind of focus. Those who carry it are not easily swayed by distractions, for their path is not open to alteration. Unlike those who seek purpose outside themselves, hoping that it will bring them satisfaction or a sense of identity, the inwardly certain individual understands that purpose is not something to be acquired, it is something to be expressed. It is a truth that flows from within, waiting to be brought into the world in ways both visible and unseen. This certainty provides an intuitive clarity that does not require constant decision-making or second-guessing. It is not about asking, "Is this what I'm meant to do?" or "Is this the right choice for the one who is anointed?" These questions have already been answered, often without words. The answer is in the peace they feel when moving in alignment with this purpose, a peace that is unshakable even in moments of difficulty. For them, to follow their purpose is to live fully, without hesitation, without compromise. This certainty of purpose does not mean the path will be without difficulty. In many cases, it is the opposite. Challenges may arise that test the resolve, obstacles that seem insurmountable. And yet, even in the face of hardship, the anointed individual presses on, not because they are blind to the difficulties, but because the purpose within them leaves no other option. This calling, this inward knowing, brings with it the strength to persevere, for they are not driven by mere willpower, but by something far greater in alignment with the essence of who they are. In moments of stillness, they find a deep resonance with their path. This is more than a feeling, it is a profound awareness that arises from within. It is a reminder that they are exactly where they are meant to be, even if the outer world has not yet caught up to the vision held within. It is this certainty that guides them through each day, each decision, each step forward. In this quiet but unbreakable sense of purpose, there is a strength that needs no validation and seeks no reward. It is a purpose that simply is, a truth as constant as the heartbeat, as unwavering as the soul's deepest convictions. It is a reminder that they are not here by accident, and that every moment, every challenge, every triumph is part of the unfolding of something much greater than themselves. There exists within certain individuals a presence that seems to draw others in, a quiet magnetism that needs no announcement or effort. It is not achieved through charisma, charm, or physical beauty, though it may contain elements of all three. Rather, it is the emanation of something deeper, a force that radiates from within, rooted in authenticity, conviction, and a silent but powerful awareness of self. Those who possess this magnetic presence do not go out of their way to captivate or impress. They simply embody an inner confidence and a genuine nature that others can't help but notice. This presence, unlike superficial attraction, doesn't rely on words or outward displays. It doesn't need loud statements or attention-seeking behaviors. Instead, it's an energy that resonates at a different frequency. When someone with a magnetic presence walks into a room, others may not know why they turn to look, but they feel compelled. It's as if this individual holds within them a truth that others are subconsciously drawn to, a calmness that sets them apart from the frenzied energy of the world. People are instinctively attracted to those who know themselves, who carry themselves with a grounded sense of purpose, and who have no need to prove or project anything to gain approval. This silent magnetism often elicits strong reactions in those who encounter it. Some feel instantly comfortable, sensing that this person has no agenda other than to be fully and authentically themselves. They are drawn to this authenticity, finding solace and inspiration in a world where so much is superficial. However, this same magnetic energy can provoke discomfort or even resistance in others, particularly those who feel unsettled by their own insecurities. For when someone with this kind of presence stands firm in who they are, it can cast a light on the doubts, fears, or unresolved issues in those around them. The magnetism of such individuals brings things to the surface, both the best and the most challenging aspects in others. This presence is not merely a gift, it is often the result of a deep inner journey, a process of self-discovery, acceptance, and alignment. Those who have reached this state have likely faced significant inner struggles and grown through them. They have become aware of their strengths and vulnerabilities, and they accept both without pretension. This self-acceptance is what grants them the freedom to exist in each moment fully. They are not striving to be something they are not. They have shed the masks and learned to be comfortable in their own skin. This authenticity, this alignment is the essence of their magnetism. People are drawn to this quality because, on a fundamental level, it represents something we all seek: a sense of wholeness, peace, and purpose. In the presence of someone who has found this within themselves, others feel, if only for a moment, that they too can find it within themselves. This kind of person doesn't need to preach or convince. Their very presence speaks louder than words. Their actions align with their words, and their words align with their beliefs, creating an integrity that others feel without needing to be told. A magnetic presence does not impose, it invites. It does not seek control, but rather allows others to come to it in their own time, on their own terms. There is a warmth in it, a sense of safety and openness that encourages people to drop their defenses, to be real. And yet this same openness does not leave the one with magnetic presence vulnerable to others' opinions or judgments. They do not waver in who they are, for they are anchored in something far deeper than external validation. Such individuals are not easily forgotten, for they do not come across as many do. They stand out not because they are louder, brighter, or more forceful, but because they have a quality of stillness, a calm amidst chaos. They remind others, simply by existing, of a different way, to be a way that does not depend on outward approval or the shifting tides of opinion. In a world where so many seek validation outside themselves, the magnetic presence of an individual who has found contentment within is profoundly inspiring. Thus, to carry a magnetic presence is to carry the ability to impact others without effort, to influence without seeking power. It is a silent, natural quality that cannot be imitated or manufactured. It can only come from a place of genuine self-understanding. And as such, it leaves an impression on all who encounter it, calling them to a deeper awareness, to a remembrance of the powerful presence that lies within them, waiting only to be discovered. In the quiet moments of life, there exists a space where divine inspiration unfolds, a sacred silence where thoughts settle and clarity emerges. For those who understand this stillness, silence becomes not a void to be filled, but a sanctuary where the deepest truths are revealed. In this quietude, an unseen guidance speaks, not with audible words, but with a subtle knowing, an intuitive wisdom that surpasses the chatter of the mind. In silence, one can tune into this frequency of inspiration that lies beneath the surface, a source of insight that flows naturally and effortlessly, if only we dare to listen. Divine inspiration in silence is often misunderstood. The world values action, productivity, and noise, associating them with progress and success. But there is a profound power in stepping back from these demands, in letting go of the need to constantly act or speak. In the silence, one finds a wellspring of answers and insights that cannot be accessed through striving alone. Here, in this place of quiet, one taps into a wisdom that exists beyond the intellect, beyond analysis and reasoning. This kind of inspiration doesn't arrive by thinking harder or trying more intensely. It comes when we surrender to the stillness and allow ourselves to simply be. Those who are acquainted with divine inspiration understand that this guidance often comes as a gentle nudge, a feeling, a vision that arises unbidden. It's a knowing that bypasses logic yet feels deeply right, an assurance that needs no proof or explanation. Often, in the presence of silence, one experiences moments of clarity that seem almost miraculous. Ideas and solutions present themselves, not through forced effort but as gifts from an unseen source. It's as though silence is a doorway through which inspiration can enter, a channel that brings guidance from realms beyond our usual perception. This kind of inspiration is transformative because it is rooted in truth, in the essence of who we are. The answers that come in silence are not influenced by the opinions, judgments, or expectations of others. They are pure, untouched by external influence, resonating directly with the soul. There is a sacred quality to this type of insight, a knowing that what arises from the silence is aligned with our highest purpose. It brings not only answers but also peace, for when we are truly inspired in this way, we are reassured that we are on the right path, even if that path is unseen by others. The practice of finding divine inspiration in silence requires trust and patience. Silence does not always deliver instant revelations, nor does it guarantee that every quiet moment will yield profound insights. It is a practice of presence, of creating space within ourselves and being willing to wait, to be receptive. In silence, one learns to let go of control, to release the urge to dictate outcomes, and to accept that some answers come only in their own time. This is a lesson in humility and surrender, for it reminds us that there are forces beyond our comprehension, that not everything can be controlled or predicted. Through the stillness, we learn to discern the voice of inner guidance from the noise of the mind. The thoughts that rush through daily life worries, plans, fears begin to quieten, leaving room for something deeper to emerge. This voice is gentle, yet it carries a power that the mind alone cannot replicate. When divine inspiration speaks, it moves the heart and soul, bringing a sense of purpose and direction that feels both natural and undeniable. This is not the inspiration that fades with time, it is a lasting imprint that guides one's path in ways both subtle and profound. The individual who knows how to access this divine inspiration in silence carries a calm strength. They are less reactive to the chaos around them, more centered in themselves, for they know that they have a source of wisdom within that will guide them through whatever life brings. This inner connection makes them resilient, less prone to doubt and fear, for they trust in the guidance they receive. They understand that even in the most challenging moments, they have a place of refuge in the silence, a space where answers will come, where peace and insight are always available. To be unshaken by circumstances is to cultivate a calm center that remains undisturbed regardless of the chaos surrounding it. It is an inner strength, a quiet resilience, that allows one to walk through life with a sense of peace and assurance, even when things do not go according to plan. In a world that seems to change by the minute, where life is often unpredictable, cultivating this steadiness of spirit is one of the most valuable qualities a person can possess. It does not mean that one is indifferent or unaffected by life's trials, rather. It means that there is a depth within that serves as an anchor, a source of stability that is unaffected by the waves that crash around it. To be unshaken is to know oneself deeply, to understand that while the external world is ever-changing, there is something within that remains constant and true. It is the understanding that circumstances are temporary, subject to change, while the essence of who you are is enduring. Those who are unshaken have come to realize that their worth and sense of self are not dependent on the opinions of others, nor on the fluctuations of fortune or status. This deep-rooted identity gives them a strength that cannot be taken away, for it is rooted in a reality that is not governed by external factors. People who are unshaken by circumstances often possess an attitude of trust and surrender. They have learned that while they may not be able to control every event or outcome, they can control how they respond. This trust is not passive, it is a powerful and intentional choice to remain composed, to stay grounded in the face of difficulty. They trust in the process of life, understanding that even challenges have their purpose, even setbacks contain within them lessons. With this perspective, they are able to face hardships without losing hope, knowing that each experience, whether pleasant or painful, is part of a greater unfolding. An unshaken person does not waste energy on what they cannot change. They know that life will bring both highs and lows, and they have developed the emotional resilience to navigate both with grace. When difficult situations arise, they do not deny their emotions or pretend to be unaffected. Instead, they process their feelings and then return to their inner stillness. They refuse to let fear, anger, or frustration dictate their choices. Instead, they draw upon their inner calm to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than reaction. This composure is their greatest asset, enabling them to face even the most turbulent circumstances with dignity. This resilience also arises from a clear sense of purpose. Those who are unshaken know why they are here, what they value, and what they are working toward. This purpose becomes a guiding light that helps them to stay focused, even when distractions and challenges arise. They understand that circumstances may change, but their mission remains. With this clarity, they are able to keep moving forward, even when the path seems uncertain. They are not swayed by temporary setbacks, for they know that their purpose is greater than any single challenge. Being unshaken also means having faith in one's own strength. Those who embody this quality have learned from experience that they are capable of enduring and overcoming much more than they may have once believed. Each time they have faced a difficulty and come through it, they have built a reservoir of inner strength that sustains them. They carry within them the memory of every trial they have endured, every moment they have risen above adversity, and it serves as a reminder that they are more resilient than they may have ever realized. This history of overcoming gives them the confidence to face whatever comes next with courage and resolve. To be unshaken by circumstances is to live from the inside out. It is to allow one's inner peace, one's sense of purpose, and one's faith in the journey to be the compass that guides through life's uncertainties. It means understanding that while the outer world may be unpredictable, the inner world can remain steady, a sanctuary of calm in the midst of storms. This is not achieved overnight. It is the result of a lifelong commitment to self-awareness, inner growth, and trust in something greater than oneself. An unshaken person radiates a calm presence that others often find inspiring. They stand as a reminder that it is possible to live with peace, purpose, and strength, even in a world filled with challenges. They show that true power does not come from controlling life's events, but from cultivating an unbreakable spirit, one that remains whole and centered no matter what life may bring. In this way, they teach others, simply by being, that there is a profound strength in remaining true to oneself, that there is wisdom in letting go of control, and that in doing so we can all find a steady ground upon which to stand, no matter the circumstances. A heightened intuition is like a sixth sense, a quiet, inner knowing that seems to tap into something beyond ordinary understanding. It's the ability to sense things without needing logical proof, to discern truths that aren't immediately visible. Intuition is often thought of as a subtle voice, a gentle nudge that guides us toward the right path, even when the reasons aren't clear. Those with heightened intuition possess an uncanny ability to read between the lines of life, sensing the unseen currents beneath the surface. It is as if they are tuned to a frequency of knowledge that others may overlook, a sensitivity to the unspoken, and an ability to perceive what is usually hidden from view. This heightened intuition does not rely on intellect or analytical thinking, though it may complement these abilities. Rather, it comes from an internal awareness that bypasses logic, a connection to something deeper and often inexplicable. People with strong intuition often describe it as a feeling in their gut, a sense that something is either right or wrong, even if they can't immediately explain why. This is not mere guesswork, it is a profound sensitivity to the world around them, a way of processing information that goes beyond words. Intuition is the mind's way of picking up on subtle cues, energy shifts, and patterns that the conscious mind might not register. One of the most remarkable aspects of heightened intuition is its ability to guide individuals in moments of uncertainty. When faced with choices that don't have clear answers, intuition often steps in, providing a sense of direction that feels instinctive. Those who trust their intuition learn to follow it, even when it leads them away from the expected or logical path. This trust in one's inner knowing can be immensely empowering, giving people the confidence to take leaps of faith and to make decisions that others might shy away from. They understand that intuition, while mysterious, has a wisdom of its own, a wisdom that often proves accurate in hindsight. Heightened intuition also fosters a deeper understanding of others. Intuitive individuals tend to be highly empathetic, sensing emotions and motivations without needing explicit cues. They often have a natural ability to perceive what others are feeling, sometimes even before those people are fully aware of their own emotions. This empathetic insight allows intuitive people to connect with others on a profound level, offering support and understanding without needing to ask too many questions. It's as if they can see beneath the masks people wear, recognizing the unspoken fears, hopes, and dreams that lie within. Heightened intuition also requires discernment. Not every feeling or impulse is truly intuitive. Some may stem from fear, wishful thinking, or unresolved issues. Learning to distinguish true intuition from emotional noise is an essential part of developing this gift. Intuitive individuals understand that, like any skill, intuition must be honed and refined. They learn to trust the inner voice that arises from a place of calm and centeredness, rather than one clouded by personal biases or anxieties. Meditation, reflection, and mindfulness often help in strengthening this discernment, allowing individuals to recognize when they are genuinely tuned in to intuitive guidance. This intuitive capacity also brings a sense of connection to something larger than oneself. Many people with heightened intuition feel as though they are in tune with a greater flow, a universal wisdom that connects all things. This feeling of connectedness fosters a sense of purpose, an understanding that life is not merely random, but rather a series of interconnected events that are meant to guide us. Intuitive individuals often sense that they are part of a larger tapestry, and this awareness shapes how they move through life. They trust that intuition is not just a personal tool, but a channel through which they receive guidance from the universe, helping them fulfill their unique path. Yet, heightened intuition is not without challenges. Being sensitive to energy and emotions can be overwhelming, particularly when surrounded by negativity or tension. Intuitive people may feel drained in chaotic environments as they absorb the subtle vibrations around them. Therefore, they often seek solitude and quiet, finding that silence and nature rejuvenate their senses. This sensitivity also teaches them the importance of boundaries, of protecting their energy and ensuring that they are not overextended. Heightened intuition, when balanced with self-care, becomes a powerful gift rather than a burden. A heightened intuition is an invitation to trust oneself on a profound level. It teaches that life's answers do not always come from outside sources, but often lie within. Those who embrace this inner guidance understand that they have a reliable compass, one that will lead them toward growth, fulfillment, and understanding. Intuition may not always provide detailed explanations, but it offers a direction that feels aligned with one's soul. It reminds us that there is a wisdom beyond words, a knowing that cannot be taught but must be felt, and in honoring it, we find a path that is uniquely our own. Experiencing resistance from the world is often a sign that one is on a path that challenges the status quo, pushes boundaries, or seeks to bring about transformation. This resistance can manifest in countless ways, from criticism and doubt to outright opposition. But rather than something to be feared or avoided, resistance from the world can serve as an important teacher. It reveals the strength and commitment within a person to stay true to their vision and purpose, even when others doubt or misunderstand them. Those who seek to create meaningful change inevitably encounter resistance, as they disrupt the familiar patterns and norms that others cling to for security. Resistance can be a mirror, reflecting both the doubts of others and the inner doubts that may still linger within. When facing external obstacles, it often brings to the surface the internal fears and insecurities that might otherwise go unnoticed. The opposition becomes an opportunity for growth, a test of whether one is truly committed to their purpose or merely seeking validation. The true strength of purpose is revealed not in moments of ease, but when there is a challenge to one's resolve. Persistence then becomes a catalyst, pushing individuals to examine their beliefs and solidify their determination. People with a strong sense of purpose often find that resistance helps refine their vision. When faced with obstacles, they are forced to clarify what they stand for and why it matters. This clarity strengthens them, giving them a sharper understanding of their goals and the path they are walking. It's as if the opposition helps them chisel away any impurities or vagueness in their vision, leaving only the core of what truly matters. In this way, resistance not only tests one's strength, but also purifies and solidifies their purpose, shaping it into something unbreakable. While resistance can feel uncomfortable, it can also be a powerful confirmation. When the world pushes back, it often indicates that one is working on something substantial, something that has the potential to disrupt or challenge accepted norms. After all, meaningful change rarely arrives without stirring discomfort or dissent. When people resist new ideas, it is often because these ideas ask them to confront their own limitations or rethink long-held beliefs. Those who face resistance can see it as a sign that they are breaking new ground, creating waves in stagnant waters, and sparking conversations that might not have happened otherwise. Resistance from the world also teaches humility and empathy. Facing obstacles and opposition can create a sense of solidarity with others who have faced similar struggles. It reminds one that change is difficult for everyone and that others might be resisting not out of malice, but out of their own fears and insecurities. This understanding can transform how one interacts with the world, offering compassion in the face of criticism and understanding instead of anger. Rather than seeing the world as an enemy, one begins to see it as a collective journey, where each person is grappling with their own challenges and growth. The ability to persevere through resistance brings a sense of inner freedom. When one has faced and survived the pushback of others, they are no longer bound by the need for approval or acceptance. This liberation allows one to follow their path with authenticity, to live in alignment with their truth without fear. Resistance may continue to appear, but it loses its power to deter. Instead, it becomes a familiar part of the journey, something that one no longer fears but welcomes as a natural aspect of growth and evolution. In conclusion, a life marked by divine anointment is both a profound blessing and a calling to rise above. Each sign, the inner certainty, magnetic presence, inspiration found in silence, unshaken resilience, heightened intuition, and even the resistance faced from the world reveals the depth of your purpose. These qualities do not come without challenges, but each challenge only strengthens your journey, refining your spirit and sharpening your vision. Embrace these signs as gifts, reminders of the power and potential that lies within you, and trust in the path that unfolds from your soul's deepest calling. Thank you for listening, and may you continue to walk with courage, clarity, and unwavering faith in your anointed purpose. You stand on the threshold of your dream. There's something within you urging you forward, a quiet assurance that seems to whisper, please, keep going. You're closer than you think, but perhaps, in moments, that voice feels faint, clouded by the obstacles and trials you faced. Let me remind you, the vision that called you here is real, and you are not alone in this journey. Persistent belief is the silent yet potent force that brings desires to life. It is the unwavering conviction that, regardless of appearances or circumstances, what you seek is already within reach, waiting for you to claim it. This belief is more than a positive mindset or an optimistic outlook. It is an unshakable inner knowing that what you imagine can and will manifest. Persistent belief does not require constant effort or struggle. Instead, it asks for an enduring faith that allows you to move forward with quiet confidence, even when the path is unclear. When one holds a persistent belief, they become anchored in a higher reality. This inner certainty creates an invisible current that attracts events, people, and circumstances that align with the desired outcome. In moments when progress feels stalled or unseen, it is belief that keeps the vision alive. It is easy to be discouraged by appearances, by delays that seem to stretch endlessly, or by the doubts of others who question the possibility of your dream. But persistent belief sees beyond these surface obstacles. It looks inward, to the feeling of already having achieved the goal, drawing strength from the certainty of this inner vision. In this way, belief becomes the fuel that drives you forward. Belief is often misunderstood as passive or naive, yet persistent belief is a profound and active state. It requires you to disregard the sensory evidence that contradicts your vision, to close your eyes to anything that does not serve your purpose. But persistent belief asks you to imagine that you are already living the reality you seek. This does not mean ignoring reality, but rather choosing to focus on the inner reality you wish to bring forth. By doing so, you create an energetic field around your desire, which begins to influence the external world. This unseen influence has power beyond measure because it arises from the depths of your being. What you truly believe, you ultimately embody, and what you embody is reflected back to you by the world. There are times when holding to belief feels like a lonely path, especially when visible signs of progress are scarce. The world may not understand why you continue to believe in something that has not yet materialized. It may question why you hold on to a vision that appears impossible or impractical. But belief is not swayed by popular opinion, it is personal, intimate, and resilient. When you carry persistent belief, you do not need validation from others, because your faith is sustained by the conviction in your heart. You become unshakable, a rock amidst the shifting sands of doubt and uncertainty. Persistent belief is like a seed that, once planted, requires only time and nurturing to grow. It does not sprout immediately, but with patience and faith, it inevitably breaks through the surface and begins to flourish. Just as the seed knows it will one day become a towering tree, persistent belief knows that it too will bear fruit. The world may not see the roots growing deep beneath the soil, yet they are there, establishing a foundation strong enough to support the life that is to come. So too does belief work quietly, sometimes invisibly, preparing the way for the reality it will create. When challenges arise, as they inevitably do, belief becomes the anchor that holds you steady. It reminds you that the obstacles you encounter are not there to deter you but to strengthen your resolve. Persistent belief sees setbacks as temporary, knowing that each one brings you closer to the goal. It transforms difficulties into stepping stones, each one a necessary part of the journey toward fulfillment. When you persist in your belief, you cultivate resilience, a quality that allows you to rise above circumstances that might otherwise discourage you. Through belief, you learn that true strength comes not from the absence of hardship, but from the ability to endure and grow through it. In moments of doubt, belief calls you back to the vision you first held. It invites you to remember why you began this journey, to reconnect with the feeling of having already achieved what you desire. This feeling, when truly felt, becomes a powerful magnet that draws your reality to you. When you act from the place of already having achieved, you align with the very vibration of your goal. The mind cannot distinguish between what is imagined and what is real, and so it begins to respond as if the vision is already realized. Persistent belief takes advantage of this power, using it to create a reality that mirrors the inner conviction you hold. To sustain belief, one must be willing to let go of the need for immediate proof. The mind often craves confirmation, a tangible sign that progress is being made, but persistent belief does not depend on such validation. Instead, it trusts in the unseen forces at work, knowing that the manifestation is happening even when there is no outward evidence. This is a difficult but necessary aspect of belief. It requires surrender, a willingness to allow the outcome to unfold in its own time. In this surrender, belief becomes even stronger, for it is no longer dependent on conditions but rests solely in the faith that what is meant to be will be. Persistent belief is, in essence, a partnership with the creative power of the universe. It is a silent agreement between you and the greater force that shapes all things. When you believe without wavering, you become a co-creator of your destiny, working hand in hand with this infinite power to bring your vision into existence. This is not magic but a natural law, one that aligns you with the flow of life itself. As you persist in your belief, you attune yourself to the rhythm of creation, allowing your desires to manifest with grace and ease. So hold on to your belief, guard it closely, nurture it with care, and let it grow within you. Know that the journey may require patience and courage, but in time, what you seek will reveal itself. Persistent belief is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the foundation upon which your dreams are built. Trust in it, and let it carry you forward, knowing that the reality you envision is already on its way. Is more than a fleeting thought or a daydream, it is the architect of our reality. What we imagine and consistently hold in our minds lays the foundation for the lives we ultimately live. While many view imagination as an intangible or even fanciful element, it is, in truth, one of the most powerful forces we possess. Every aspect of our external reality, from the home we live in to the relationships we nurture, was first born in the mind as an idea, an image, or a feeling. Imagination is not just a source of creativity, it is the origin of creation itself. Now, the act of imagining involves forming an inner picture that is so vivid and detailed that it begins to take on a life of its own. When we visualize something with clarity and emotion, we create a blueprint in the unseen world, a design waiting to be realized in the physical realm. This mental picture is not just an idle fantasy, but a real, influential seed. The more we focus on this image and nourish it with attention and belief, the more it begins to manifest outwardly, attracting to us the experiences, people, and circumstances that align with that vision. It operates on the principle that what we hold in our mind will eventually be mirrored in our reality. When you picture yourself achieving a certain goal, living a specific lifestyle, or embodying a desired trait, you are aligning yourself with the very energy of that experience. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. This is why imagination is such a powerful tool. By mentally rehearsing an ideal scenario, you condition yourself to expect and receive it in your life. The image you hold in your mind becomes the model for your actions, attitudes, and decisions, shaping the path you take and the outcomes you experience. Our inner pictures affect not only our individual lives, but also the collective reality. Every great invention, every transformative idea, began as an image in the mind of someone who dared to believe it could be real. These visionaries were not limited by what already existed. Instead, they saw beyond the present and created a new possibility. Imagination, then, is the birthplace of progress, innovation, and change. When we allow ourselves to imagine freely, without the constraints of logic or the limitations of the past, we tap into an infinite field of potential. It is here, in this realm of unbounded thought, that new realities are born. Imagination works silently, often unnoticed, yet it has a profound impact on the way we experience life. Consider, for instance, the way imagination shapes our perception of ourselves. If we consistently imagine ourselves as capable, confident, and worthy, we start to embody these qualities. The mind adopts this image as truth, and we begin to act accordingly. Likewise, if we see ourselves as limited or undeserving, our actions and experiences will reflect this belief. Imagination, therefore, is the lens through which we view ourselves and, by extension, the world around us. By consciously choosing the images we hold, we can transform not only our own lives, but also the lives of those we encounter. The beauty of imagination lies in its boundless nature. There are no restrictions on what we can imagine, no barriers to the worlds we can create within our minds. This freedom allows us to explore possibilities that may seem unrealistic or far-fetched. Yet it is often those very ideas that lead to the most significant changes. When we dare to imagine beyond what is currently possible, we expand the limits of our reality. This expansion is what drives growth, both on a personal level and as a society. Through imagination, we gain access to a wellspring of inspiration and insight, guiding us to new paths and opportunities. To harness the power of imagination as the blueprint of reality, one must approach it with intentionality and purpose. It is not enough to idly daydream. One must cultivate a clear and focused image of the desired outcome. This image must be imbued with emotion, as feeling gives it strength and substance. When you imagine yourself achieving a goal, allow yourself to feel the joy, satisfaction, and gratitude that come with it. This emotional energy infuses the image with life, making it a powerful attractor of the corresponding reality. Imagination also requires consistency. Just as a builder refers to blueprints throughout the construction process, we must continually return to the mental image of what we wish to create. Each time we revisit this image, we reinforce its presence in our minds, solidifying it as a guiding force in our lives. This process is akin to nurturing a plant. It requires regular attention, care, and patience. Over time, the mental blueprint we hold becomes a tangible reality, manifesting in ways we may not have initially anticipated. One of the challenges in using imagination as a blueprint is the tendency to be swayed by external circumstances. When reality appears to contradict the inner vision, it can be tempting to abandon the image or question its validity. However, imagination is not subject to the constraints of the present moment. It operates independently of current conditions, drawing from the realm of possibility rather than the limitations of the past or present. By remaining steadfast in our vision, we allow imagination to work its magic, gradually shaping the world around us to reflect our inner picture. The act of imagining is a deeply personal and empowering experience. It reminds us that we are not passive observers of life, but active creators. When we recognize the role imagination plays in shaping reality, we reclaim our power to design a life that aligns with our highest aspirations. This realization brings a sense of freedom and responsibility. We understand that we are, in essence, the architects of our destiny, guided by the visions we hold within. Imagination is a gift, a doorway into worlds unseen yet deeply felt. By honoring our imaginative capacities, we embrace the potential to bring forth a reality that reflects our deepest desires. Every thought, every image we hold, serves as a building block in the construction of our lives. When we choose to imagine with clarity, purpose, and conviction, we set in motion forces that work tirelessly to bring our vision to life. Through imagination, we hold the blueprint of reality in our hands, a powerful reminder that the world we seek begins within. Invisible progress is a concept often overlooked in our pursuit of goals and dreams. In a world that emphasizes visible achievements and tangible results, we tend to focus on what we can see and measure, often disregarding the quiet yet powerful progress occurring beneath the surface. Invisible progress is the slow and often imperceptible transformation that happens internally before it manifests outwardly. It is the growth, the resilience, and the foundation building that take place while we remain steadfast on our path, even when there's no visible sign of advancement. While it may seem like nothing is happening, each moment of inner dedication is bringing us closer to our desired outcome. The journey of invisible progress begins when we commit ourselves to a vision or goal. This commitment sparks a shift within us, setting the wheels of change in motion. Yet this change is not always apparent to the outside world. In fact, even we ourselves may not initially perceive the full extent of it. This type of progress operates on a subtle level, altering our thought patterns, beliefs, and behaviors slowly over time. It is in this quiet, unseen realm that the real groundwork of success is laid. We may feel discouraged by the lack of external evidence, but invisible progress reminds us that growth is not always linear or obvious. One of the reasons invisible progress is so essential is that it prepares us for the weight of our aspirations. Just as a tree must establish strong roots before it grows tall, we too must build a solid internal foundation. If we were to attain our goals immediately, without this underlying preparation, we might lack the resilience and strength to sustain them. Invisible progress is the period of strengthening, the time when we cultivate the skills, attitudes, and perspectives necessary for the next phase of our journey. This phase of growth is often marked by challenges that seem to test our patience and resolve. However, these trials are not obstacles but tools that carve out within us the capacity to hold and nurture our future success. Invisible progress often occurs in stages that feel repetitive or stagnant, as if we are treading water without moving forward. Yet, beneath the surface, essential transformations are taking place. Each small action, each decision to persevere, accumulates in ways that may only be understood in hindsight. This is similar to planting seeds in a garden. We must tend to them, trusting that they are growing even if we can't see the fruits immediately. Our efforts, although unseen, are not in vain. They are shaping the conditions needed for visible progress to eventually unfold. It is in these moments of quiet persistence that we learn the art of patience and trust, two qualities essential for lasting success. One of the challenges of invisible progress is the need to maintain faith in the process despite the absence of immediate rewards. The mind, conditioned by instant gratification, may question the value of unseen work. We might doubt ourselves, wondering if our efforts are making any difference. In these moments, it is crucial to remember that invisible progress is not about instant results, but about steady growth. Each day that we show up, even when progress seems minimal, is a testament to our commitment. Invisible progress teaches us to detach from external validation and instead rely on an inner sense of purpose and dedication. This shift in perspective allows us to remain focused, knowing that the results will appear in their own time. Invisible progress is also closely tied to the idea of resilience. When we continue to work toward our goals without visible results, we are strengthening our resilience. We learn to withstand disappointment, to manage our expectations, and to find motivation within ourselves. This inner fortitude becomes a powerful asset as we move forward. The ability to stay the course, even when faced with setbacks, builds a level of strength that will serve us well when the results do begin to appear. Invisible progress is, in many ways, a training ground where we hone the skills and mindset required to navigate the ups and downs of any journey. As we continue along this path of invisible progress, we may begin to notice subtle changes within ourselves. Perhaps we feel more confident, more aligned with our purpose, or more capable of handling challenges. These shifts, though small, are significant markers of growth. They indicate that while we may not yet see the full realization of our goals, we are transforming into the kind of person who can achieve them. Each step taken in faith, each action carried out without the need for immediate reward, brings us closer to the person we are becoming. This transformation is the essence of invisible progress. It is a journey of becoming as much as it is a journey of achieving. Invisible progress reminds us that growth is an inward journey. The outer world is merely a reflection of our inner reality. By focusing on invisible progress, we are investing in the unseen qualities that will shape our external lives. We learn that the true measure of progress is not how quickly we can achieve our goals, but how deeply we are willing to commit to the process. This commitment to the unseen prepares us for the day when our dreams do manifest, equipping us with the strength and wisdom to hold on to them. Invisible progress is a reminder that nothing we do in pursuit of our dreams is ever wasted. Each effort, each moment of resilience, and each act of faith contributes to the foundation of our success. The results may take time to appear, but they are being built upon the quiet work we do each day. Invisible progress invites us to trust in the journey, to embrace the unseen, and to recognize that every step, no matter how small or unnoticeable, is leading us closer to where we want to be. The final test of faith is a defining moment on the journey of any goal or vision, a time that often emerges when we are closest to realizing our desires, yet the path seems most challenging. This test is not simply about facing external obstacles, it's an internal trial that asks us to dig deeply into our beliefs, to hold steady in our conviction when circumstances appear contrary to what we have envisioned. It is a test that invites us to prove, not to anyone else but to ourselves, that our faith is unshakable. The final test of faith calls for persistence, courage, and unwavering trust in the unseen forces at work, reminding us that true faith is not defined by what we see, but by what we believe is possible. Faith is easy when things are going well, when we feel aligned with our vision, and when our efforts yield visible progress. But when challenges arise, when circumstances seem to contradict our aspirations, or when delays and setbacks occur, the strength of our faith is truly revealed. In these times, doubt may creep in, whispering that our goals are too far-fetched or that we are unworthy of them. It is here, in this delicate balance between doubt and determination, that the final test of faith begins. It is a test that strips away illusions and brings us face to face with our deepest beliefs. Do we truly believe in our vision, or is our faith conditional, wavering in the face of adversity? The final test of faith is not a punishment or a setback, but rather an essential part of growth. It serves as a refining fire, clearing away the doubts, fears, and insecurities that may have lingered beneath the surface. This test challenges us to reach a new level of inner conviction, one that is unwavering and complete. It asks us to hold our vision firmly in our minds and hearts, despite the apparent lack of evidence. We are called to stand firmly in our truth, embracing a faith that does not waver based on appearances but remains rooted in our inner knowing. During this period, it may feel as though we are being asked to let go of everything, to surrender our desires and attachments. This surrender, however, is not about abandoning our dreams, but about releasing the need to control how and when they come to pass. The final test of faith teaches us that true belief is not attached to specific outcomes or timelines. Instead, it is an invitation to trust in the greater forces at play, to believe that what we seek is already unfolding in ways that are beyond our immediate understanding. This surrender is a profound act of faith, a way of affirming that our vision is real, even when it is yet unseen. The final test of faith also reveals the depth of our resilience. When we face delays or setbacks, we often feel an instinct to withdraw, to give up, or to settle for something less. But this test asks us to dig deeper, to rise above momentary discouragement, and to find strength in our commitment to the path. We learn that true faith is not passive. It is an active force that fuels our determination to continue. In this sense, faith is not merely a feeling, but a choice, a conscious decision to believe in our vision despite the evidence around us. This resilience becomes a source of inner power, reminding us that we are capable of overcoming any obstacle, as long as we remain rooted in our belief. Patience, too, plays a central role in the final test of faith. When results are delayed, or when progress seems slower than anticipated, we are asked to embrace patience as a part of the journey. Patience is not passive waiting, but a state of readiness, an understanding that there is a timing to all things. It is a recognition that what we desire may take time to unfold, not because we are unworthy or unprepared, but because the process of growth requires it. This patience, born out of faith, allows us to remain calm and steadfast, knowing that our dreams are taking shape in ways that may not yet be visible. The final test of faith also highlights the importance of inner alignment. This is a moment to reaffirm our commitment, to ensure that our thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned with our vision. If we allow fear, doubt, or impatience to dominate our thoughts, we risk creating resistance that hinders our progress. But when we realign with our inner truth, when we choose to focus on our vision rather than our fears, we create an energetic harmony that attracts the very things we seek. This alignment is the essence of faith. It is the act of becoming one with our desire, embodying the qualities and attitudes that reflect our highest aspirations. As we move through the final test of faith, we often find ourselves experiencing a transformation. We become more resilient, more attuned to our inner guidance, and more capable of navigating life's uncertainties. This transformation is the real reward of the test. It is the inner growth that prepares us for the manifestation of our desires. We realize that the true purpose of the journey was not merely to reach a specific outcome, but to evolve into a person capable of holding that outcome with grace and confidence. The final test of faith refines us, shaping us into individuals who are not only deserving of our goals, but who are also ready to handle the responsibility and growth that comes with them. When we emerge from this test, we do so with a deeper understanding of faith and of ourselves. We recognize that faith is not about demanding proof or seeking validation from the outside world. True faith is an inner conviction, an unwavering trust in the process, and a commitment to remain aligned with our vision, no matter what challenges may arise. The final test of faith reminds us that what we seek is not only possible, but inevitable, as long as we remain connected to our inner truth. The final test of faith leaves us with a profound realization that the journey itself was the real reward. The moments of doubt, the trials of patience, and the choices to believe despite appearances all contributed to the person we have become. Our faith, once tested, is now unbreakable. We emerge from this test not only with the fulfillment of our desires, but with the wisdom, strength, and inner peace that come from truly trusting ourselves and the path we are on. Detachment from doubt is an essential step on the journey to realizing our deepest desires and aspirations. While doubt is a natural experience, it can often hold us back, creating resistance to the very things we hope to achieve. Doubt is like a shadow that dims our vision, casting uncertainty on the path before us. To achieve our goals, we must learn to detach from these doubts, understanding that they are merely thoughts, not truths that can be released. Detachment from doubt is a practice of freeing ourselves from limiting beliefs and instead anchoring our focus on the reality we intend to create. At its core, detachment from doubt involves a shift in perspective. Doubt thrives on attachment to specific outcomes, to a need for validation, or to fears of failure. When we are overly attached to these fears or outcomes, we create mental and emotional turbulence that disrupts our progress. We begin to question our own abilities and the possibility of success, giving doubt a foothold in our mind. By detaching, we release the weight of these attachments, allowing ourselves to move forward with clarity and confidence. This does not mean ignoring our desires or abandoning our goals, but rather approaching them with a sense of inner peace and trust. Detachment is not about suppressing doubt or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, it's about observing doubt objectively, recognizing it without letting it define our actions or beliefs. When doubts arise, they often come in the form of negative self-talk or fearful thoughts. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? These thoughts might appear genuine and logical in the moment, but they are usually based on past experiences or fears, not on present reality. Detachment allows us to view these thoughts as temporary mental states rather than absolute truths. By taking a step back, we can respond to these doubts from a place of self-awareness rather than impulsive fear. One powerful approach to detaching from doubt is to focus on the vision of what we want to create, rather than on the obstacles that may arise. When we keep our mind centered on our goal, the energy of doubt loses its grip. This is because doubt can only exist in an environment of hesitation and uncertainty. The more firmly we anchor ourselves in our vision, the less room there is for doubt to take root. By focusing our attention on the positive, on the reality we are building, we allow our minds to be filled with thoughts of possibility and empowerment rather than of limitation. Practicing detachment from doubt also involves cultivating trust in oneself and in the unseen forces at play. Faith is the antidote to doubt. When we believe deeply in our vision, when we trust in our abilities, and when we have confidence in the process, doubt loses its power. Trusting ourselves means knowing that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, that we are resourceful and resilient. Trusting the process means believing that everything unfolds in the right timing, even if that timing is different from what we expected. This trust is a foundation that supports us when doubt tries to shake our resolve. Mindfulness and self-reflection are practical tools that help in detaching from doubt. When doubt arises, mindfulness allows us to notice it without judgment. Instead of reacting to doubt with frustration or resistance, we simply observe it, recognizing it as a passing thought. This awareness creates space between us and the doubt, enabling us to choose a more empowering response. Self-reflection also helps us identify the deeper sources of our doubts. Sometimes doubt arises from unresolved fears or past experiences that we may need to address. By acknowledging these underlying issues, we can work through them rather than letting them unconsciously drive our thoughts. Another key to detaching from doubt is surrounding ourselves with positive influences. The people we interact with, the content we consume, and the environment we create all have an impact on our mental and emotional state. When we are surrounded by supportive, uplifting influences, we naturally feel more empowered. Conversely, negativity or criticism can fuel doubt, making it harder to detach. Choosing a positive environment helps reinforce our commitment to our goals, allowing us to maintain a mindset of possibility. This doesn't mean ignoring constructive feedback, but it does mean being selective about the voices we allow to shape our beliefs. Detachment from doubt is an ongoing practice that requires patience and self-compassion. Doubt is a habit, and like any habit, it takes time to break. There may be days when doubt feels overwhelming, and that's okay. The goal is not to be perfect or to eliminate doubt entirely, but to cultivate the ability to release it when it arises. Each time we practice detaching from doubt, we strengthen our capacity for resilience and inner peace. With time, doubt becomes less of an obstacle and more of a reminder of our own growth. We learn to see it not as an enemy, but as a passing thought that we have the power to release. Detaching from doubt ultimately empowers us to stay aligned with our true selves and our aspirations. It frees us from the limitations imposed by fear, allowing us to approach our goals with confidence and clarity. As we let go of doubt, we make space for creativity, possibility, and self-trust. We come to realize that the journey is not just about achieving a specific outcome, but about becoming a person who believes in their own potential, regardless of external circumstances. Detachment from doubt allows us to experience the journey with a sense of inner freedom, knowing that we are capable of creating the life we envision. The art of feeling as if something is already done is a profound mental and emotional practice that can transform the way we approach our goals and desires. It requires cultivating an inner state that aligns with the reality we wish to create, allowing us to experience a sense of fulfillment and certainty even before the external world reflects our desires. This practice is not about pretending or deceiving ourselves, rather, it is about tuning into the feeling of our desired outcome, as if it is already part of our lives. This shift in perception engages the mind and heart, aligning our thoughts, beliefs, and actions with our intended reality and drawing it closer with remarkable clarity and power. At its core, feeling as if it's already done involves using imagination to embody the state of our fulfilled desire. Our minds cannot easily distinguish between experiences we imagine vividly and those we actually experience in the physical world. When we immerse ourselves in the feeling of our wish fulfilled, we create a mental and emotional blueprint that our subconscious mind accepts as real. This inner conviction becomes a powerful force, reshaping our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors in ways that support the manifestation of our desires. The subconscious mind, acting on the instructions we give it through thought and feeling, begins to orchestrate the events, opportunities, and circumstances that lead us toward our desired outcome. This process of living in the end starts with clarity of intention. Before we can feel as if something is already done, we must know exactly what it is we want to achieve. Vague or uncertain goals make it challenging to fully engage in this practice, as our minds require a clear picture to focus upon. By defining our goals with specificity and clarity, we set a foundation that allows us to envision and feel them as vividly as possible. Once we have a clear image of our desired outcome, we can move into the practice of embodying the feeling of that reality. The feeling of fulfillment is key in this practice. It is not enough to simply imagine a scenario. We must immerse ourselves in the emotions associated with that scenario, as if it were happening in the present moment. This feeling might be one of joy, peace, accomplishment, or gratitude, whatever naturally arises when we imagine our desires fulfilled. For instance, if one desires a new job, they should focus not only on the visual elements of that position, but on the emotions they would feel once they are successfully engaged in that role. They might imagine the sense of pride and purpose, the satisfaction of contributing to meaningful work, and the joy of a supportive and inspiring environment. By feeling these emotions, we communicate to our subconscious mind that this reality is already part of our experience. One of the most profound benefits of feeling as if it's already done is that it frees us from the energy of striving and yearning, which often creates resistance. When we are constantly focused on the lack of what we desire or on the gap between where we are and where we want to be, we reinforce a state of separation and longing. This mindset keeps our desires at arm's length, making them feel distant and difficult to achieve. But when we cultivate the feeling that our desire is already realized, we let go of this sense of lack. We move from a state of wanting to a state of having, from striving to fulfillment. This inner shift allows us to relax, releasing the mental and emotional tension that often accompanies unfulfilled desires. Detaching from the how of our manifestation is another essential aspect of this practice. The art of feeling as if it's already done requires us to release our need to control every step of the process. When we are overly focused on the specific path or method by which our desire must materialize, we limit the ways in which it can come to us. By holding on to a feeling of fulfillment without worrying about the specific details, we remain open to the vast array of possibilities that may lead us to our goal. This sense of surrender doesn't mean giving up on our desires. Instead, it's a declaration of trust in the process, allowing the universe to work in ways that may exceed our expectations. Consistency is crucial when cultivating the art of feeling as if it's already done. Occasional moments of belief or fleeting feelings of fulfillment may provide brief encouragement, but they are not enough to override deep-seated patterns of doubt and disbelief. By regularly practicing this state of fulfillment, we begin to build new neural pathways that reinforce our belief in the reality of our desires. This can be achieved through daily visualization, meditation, or simply taking moments throughout the day to reconnect with the feeling of our goal already realized. Each time we practice, we strengthen our alignment with our vision, and over time this alignment becomes a natural state of mind. It's important to acknowledge that feeling as if it's already done is not about denying present circumstances or ignoring current challenges. Instead, it's about maintaining a dual awareness, acknowledging where we are while simultaneously holding a vision of where we want to be. This balance allows us to remain grounded in the present while being propelled forward by the energy of our desired reality. We learn to approach each day with the confidence that our vision is unfolding, no matter what temporary obstacles we may encounter. Another valuable aspect of this practice is that it fosters a profound sense of gratitude. When we feel as if our desires are already realized, we naturally begin to feel gratitude for them, as if they are blessings already bestowed upon us. This gratitude amplifies the energy of fulfillment, creating a powerful positive feedback loop. The more grateful we feel, the more we attract experiences that match this energy. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is present and possible, reinforcing the belief that our desires are within reach and drawing us ever closer to them. The art of feeling as if it's already done is a journey of inner transformation. It is a practice that asks us to trust ourselves, to believe in our worthiness, and to embrace the idea that we are creators of our own experience. By cultivating the feeling of our desires fulfilled, we align our inner world with the reality we wish to experience, setting in motion a series of events that bring our goals to life. Through this practice, we not only realize our dreams, but also deepen our understanding of the power within us, the power to shape our reality through the simple yet profound act of feeling. Reframing delays as preparation is a powerful mindset shift that transforms how we experience the waiting periods in our lives. In a culture that often equates progress with speed and immediate results, delays can feel frustrating and disheartening. However, seeing these delays as opportunities for preparation allows us to embrace the process with patience, trust, and a deeper sense of purpose. This perspective invites us to recognize that timing is not simply a matter of when something happens, but who we are when it finally does. It's an approach that acknowledges the unseen work happening beneath the surface, preparing us internally and externally for the future we desire. One of the first steps in reframing delays as preparation is understanding that setbacks are often blessings in disguise. When we don't get what we want immediately, it's natural to feel disappointed or even discouraged. However, these moments of waiting are often times of crucial growth and self-reflection. Delays offer us a chance to examine our desires more deeply, asking ourselves if what we want is truly aligned with who we are and what will bring us genuine fulfillment. Sometimes a delay occurs because there is more for us to learn, experience, or develop before we are ready for the next step. By embracing this perspective, we see that waiting is not a punishment or a barrier, it is a form of protection, ensuring that we receive what we want at the best possible moment. Delays also serve as opportunities to strengthen our resilience and refine our character. Achieving a goal is not just about reaching the end point, but about who we become along the way. When we face delays, we are often pushed to confront our impatience, self-doubt, and fears. Rather than succumbing to frustration, we can choose to see these moments as tests of our resolve. Are we willing to stay committed to our vision, even when the journey takes longer than expected? This resilience we cultivate in waiting becomes a foundation that will support us not only in this pursuit, but in all future endeavors. We learn to rely on our inner strength, to trust ourselves, and to have faith that our dedication will be rewarded in time. Delays often prepare us in practical ways too. For example, if someone is working toward a promotion, a delay might give them time to gain additional skills, improve relationships with colleagues, or build a more substantial foundation of experience. When the opportunity finally arrives, they are better equipped to excel and contribute meaningfully. Without this period of preparation, they might have reached the position prematurely, potentially leading to greater challenges or even setbacks later on. This practical preparation is true for nearly any goal, whether it's pursuing a creative project, building a relationship, or achieving financial stability. The waiting period allows us to refine our abilities, deepen our understanding, and grow in ways that make us more capable and confident when our moment arrives. Reframing delays as preparation also allows us to cultivate patience, a vital skill for long-term fulfillment. Patience is the ability to remain calm and focused despite obstacles or a slower than expected pace. It reminds us that life is not simply about racing from one achievement to the next, but about appreciating the journey as a whole. When we learn to wait without resentment, we become more mindful and present, able to find joy and gratitude in each step. This practice not only reduces stress but also enhances our capacity to appreciate the outcome when it finally arrives. Rather than rushing through life, we learn to savor the process, recognizing that every stage of the journey has something valuable to offer. Viewing delays as preparation encourages us to look inward and develop self-awareness. Often we fixate on external results without realizing that our inner landscape needs attention as well. Waiting periods provide us with an opportunity to examine our beliefs, attitudes, and habits. Are there limiting beliefs holding us back? Do we have fears or insecurities that need to be addressed? Are there areas where we can practice self-improvement and self-love? These reflections allow us to grow and transform internally, so when our goal manifests, we are truly ready to embrace it fully and confidently. This inner growth enriches our experience, making us better equipped to handle not only the achievement itself, but also the responsibilities and challenges that come with it. This period of preparation often serves as a time for building faith and trust in something greater than ourselves. It reminds us that life has a rhythm and wisdom of its own, beyond what we might understand in any given moment. Sometimes we may feel as though we're ready, but there are factors at play that we cannot yet see. By trusting that the timing is perfect, we release the need for control and allow things to unfold naturally. This trust brings a sense of peace and assurance, enabling us to enjoy the present moment while knowing that the future is being aligned in our favor. When we relinquish our need to rush or force outcomes, we open ourselves to divine timing, understanding that the delay is not a denial but a setup for something better than we could have planned ourselves. Another valuable aspect of reframing delays as preparation is the opportunity to deepen our gratitude. When we finally receive something we've waited and prepared for, our appreciation for it is much greater. The journey makes the destination richer and more meaningful because we recognize the value of the time, effort, and patience invested along the way. We no longer take our achievements for granted, but instead cherish them because we have allowed ourselves to grow and prepare for them. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, reminding us of the abundance already present in our lives. This gratitude attracts even more positivity and fulfillment, creating a cycle of joy and contentment that enhances all areas of our life. Reframing delays as preparation changes how we experience our journey. It encourages us to see life as a process of unfolding rather than as a series of urgent, fixed goals. This approach transforms the way we relate to time and to ourselves, fostering resilience, patience, trust, and gratitude. When we embrace delays as moments of preparation, we become aligned with a deeper sense of purpose and possibility, understanding that everything is working together for our highest good. Rather than feeling frustrated or disheartened, we feel empowered, knowing that the waiting period is a gift that allows us to grow and refine ourselves in ways we might not have otherwise considered. As we move forward with this new perspective, we are better equipped to handle life's natural ebbs and flows. We become more adaptable and open, welcoming the journey in all its forms, confident that each delay is part of a greater plan to prepare us for the fulfillment of our dreams. In this way, we approach our desires with trust and calm, knowing that we are always being prepared for the next step, ready to receive it when the time is right. In embracing delays as preparation, we transform our experience of waiting from one of frustration to one of empowerment and growth. We come to see every pause as a valuable opportunity to strengthen our resilience, deepen our self-awareness, and align ourselves with a greater purpose. Through patience, trust, and a commitment to inner growth, we prepare not only for the goals we seek, but also for the person we are becoming. This shift in perspective enables us to approach life's journey with a sense of calm and assurance, confident that everything is working in our favor. Thank you for joining me in this journey of reframing delays. May we all find peace in the process and fulfillment in the perfect timing of our dreams. In the quiet of your heart, a truth whispers. It is feeling that weaves the threads of your reality. Thought alone is a spark, but feeling is the fire. When we think a thought, we create a picture. When we feel, we breathe the life into that picture. For what is feeling but the language of the soul, the instrument of creation that molds the formless into form? The power of feeling is the silent architect of our lives, the invisible force shaping the seen and unseen aspects of our existence. Each one of us has the capacity to harness this power, yet it is often overlooked, misunderstood, or taken for granted. We may think of ourselves as rational beings, guided by thoughts, logic, and conscious decisions, but it is our feelings that wield the true influence, casting ripples into our reality and giving form to our innermost desires and fears. Feelings are not mere reactions to circumstances, they are creative energies in their own right. When we experience a feeling, we are broadcasting a signal to the universe, one that resonates far beyond the borders of our physical senses. Just as a radio transmits invisible waves that travel through space, our feelings emit a vibrational frequency that aligns with similar frequencies in the world around us. This is why we often find that what we deeply feel, whether it be love, fear, joy, or resentment, comes back to us in some form. The world becomes a mirror, reflecting our inner state back to us through people, events, and circumstances. Consider the transformative power of love, for example. When you feel genuine love, you radiate a warmth that attracts love from others. It's as if love recognizes its own reflection in the world and responds in kind. In contrast, if we harbor feelings of resentment or anger, these two are energies that go forth into the world, drawing similar energies back to us. In this way, we can see that feeling is not just an inner experience, but a creative force with the ability to shape our surroundings. The idea that feeling is the secret to creating our reality may seem simplistic, yet it is deeply profound. Feelings are the language of the subconscious mind, the part of us that is directly linked to the creative power of the universe. The subconscious does not respond to wishes or idle thoughts, it responds to the intensity and consistency of our feelings. When we feel something intensely, the subconscious accepts it as truth and begins to act upon it. It has no ability to differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It simply responds to the feeling that we hold in our hearts. Imagine for a moment that you are wealthy. Feel the security, the freedom, the abundance that comes with that state. If you can hold this feeling without allowing doubt to intervene, your subconscious begins to accept it as a reality. Soon you may find yourself presented with opportunities, people, and circumstances that align with that feeling of abundance. This is not magic, but a natural process that unfolds when we align our inner state with our desires. Feeling is what breathes life into thought. A thought without feeling is like a blueprint. Without substance, it lacks the vitality to take form. To visualize a desired outcome is powerful, but without the emotion to fuel it, the vision remains a distant possibility rather than a probable reality. Feeling is the bridge between the inner world of imagination and the outer world of experience. When we feel our desires as if they are already fulfilled, we activate a process of manifestation that brings them from potentiality into actuality. It is essential to recognize that this process requires sincerity. We cannot force a feeling or pretend to feel something we do not. True feeling arises from within, and it cannot be manufactured by superficial means. If we wish to change our lives, we must begin by cultivating genuine feelings of gratitude, joy, peace, and abundance within ourselves. This is an act of faith and trust in the creative power of the universe, a willingness to believe in a reality that has not yet manifested in physical form. We are often conditioned to believe in the power of action alone, to think that only by doing can we achieve our goals. But action without aligned feeling is often empty, leading to frustration and a sense of struggle. When our actions arise from a state of fulfillment, when we act out of joy, love, and abundance, the results are vastly different. Such actions are empowered, guided by the feeling that they are already successful. They carry a different energy, one that naturally attracts circumstances that reinforce the feeling we hold. The power of feeling is also the key to resilience in the face of challenges. When we are rooted in positive feelings, we are less likely to be swayed by temporary setbacks or external circumstances. Instead of reacting to life, we respond from a place of inner stability. This is why cultivating feelings of peace, confidence, and self-assurance is so crucial. These feelings act as a shield, protecting us from the ups and downs of daily life, and allowing us to maintain a steady course toward our desires. The power of feeling is the power to create a life that aligns with our deepest values and dreams. By choosing to feel as if our desires are already fulfilled, we align ourselves with a higher reality. We move beyond the limitations of logic, fear, and doubt, stepping into a realm where anything is possible. Feeling then becomes an act of faith, a declaration to the universe that we are ready to receive all that we desire. To harness the power of feeling is to take conscious control of our lives, to be the creators rather than the spectators of our reality. It is an invitation to live from the inside out, letting our inner state shape our external experience. When we recognize that feeling is indeed the secret, we begin to live in harmony with the laws of creation, allowing our deepest desires to flow naturally into our lives, transforming not only what we have, but who we are. The journey to manifesting our desires begins in thought, but does not end there. It extends beyond thought alone and reaches into the realm of feeling. Thought by itself is a mere spark, a catalyst for what we wish to create. While thought provides the outline of what we wish to experience, it is feeling that breathes life into our desires and shapes them into reality. We might imagine our ideal life, think positive thoughts, or visualize endlessly, but without the infusion of feeling, our visions lack the force needed to bring them into physical existence. Feeling, then, is not an addition to thought, it is the essential element that makes thought potent and transformative. Consider a simple example. We might think about success, visualizing ourselves achieving our goals and experiencing a life of abundance. But if that thought remains purely intellectual, lacking any feeling, it stays as a static concept, a vague picture floating in the mind. Thoughts alone are like seeds. Without soil, they contain potential, but without the proper environment, they cannot take root or grow. Feelings, in contrast, are the fertile soil that nourishes these seeds, giving them a place to sprout and thrive. When we add emotion to our thoughts, we activate the creative power within us, setting the wheels of manifestation into motion. Thought and feeling are complementary forces, each necessary yet incomplete without the other. Thought provides direction, shaping the form of what we desire, while feeling gives it substance and energy. Without feeling, our thoughts are like empty vessels, containing ideas but lacking vitality. And without thought, our feelings are raw and undefined, without a clear purpose or direction. Together, however, they create a powerful synergy, a harmonious blend that allows us to manifest our desires in tangible form. The universe does not respond to idle wishes or detached thoughts, it responds to the emotions we attach to those thoughts. Emotions carry energy, a vibration that extends far beyond our physical senses. When we feel something deeply, we are sending a message that reverberates within us and echoes out into the world. This energy aligns with similar vibrations, drawing experiences, people and circumstances that match our inner state. Our feelings, then, serve as the bridge between our inner world and the outer world, linking our desires to our reality in a way that thoughts alone cannot. Imagine someone who thinks constantly about finding love but harbors deep feelings of loneliness and unworthiness. The thought of love may be there, but it is overridden by the stronger emotion of lack. This person's emotional state sends out a signal of emptiness, drawing experiences that reflect this feeling. The universe mirrors back not the thoughts of love, but the predominant feeling of lack. Conversely, when someone feels deeply that they are already loved, worthy, and whole, they create an energy that naturally attracts love. In this way, feeling rather than thought is the language through which the universe understands and responds to us. Feeling also speaks directly to our subconscious mind, the aspect of ourselves that holds immense creative power. The subconscious does not process logical arguments or conscious reasoning. It responds to the intensity and repetition of our feelings. This is why cultivating a deep, consistent emotional connection with our desires is so powerful. When we feel as though our wishes are already fulfilled, the subconscious accepts this as reality and begins to bring forth experiences that align with this inner conviction. It does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It acts upon the feeling as if it is true. We can see this principle at work when people repeatedly imagine scenarios they fear or dread. The thought alone might be harmless, but when it is accompanied by strong feelings of anxiety or worry, it becomes a powerful force, attracting the very situations they wish to avoid. Their thoughts and feelings are working in alignment, but unfortunately in a way that manifests undesirable outcomes. This is why it is essential to cultivate positive feelings around our desires, to ensure that the energy we are putting forth aligns with what we want, rather than what we fear. The process of manifestation requires us to feel as though we already have what we desire, even before it appears in physical form. This can be challenging, especially if our current circumstances seem contrary to what we wish to experience. But this is where faith and imagination come into play. We must learn to feel abundance even when we face lack, to feel love even in moments of solitude, to feel health even amid illness. By doing so, we align ourselves with the reality we seek, allowing it to flow naturally into our lives. The outer world will eventually conform to the inner state we persistently feel. Beyond thought alone lies the power of embodied emotion. To manifest effectively, we must feel the reality of our desires in a way that is vivid, natural, and consistent. This requires practice, a willingness to let go of outer appearances, and to immerse ourselves in the feeling of fulfillment. When we do this, we activate a magnetic force within us, one that draws to us all that we need to realize our dreams. The act of feeling is an act of creation. It is a declaration to the universe that we believe in the reality of our desires, that we are ready to receive them. Feeling transcends the limits of logic, reason, and even time. When we feel as though we already possess what we seek, we align ourselves with a higher reality, one that operates beyond the constraints of our present circumstances. Thought might set the stage, but it is feeling that brings the play to life. To live beyond thought alone is to live as conscious creators, embracing the full spectrum of our inner power. It is to recognize that our emotions are not passive responses, but active forces with the ability to transform our lives. By choosing to feel as though our desires are already ours, we tap into a source of limitless potential, awakening to the truth that all things are possible. Through the power of feeling, we move beyond wishful thinking and into the realm of true manifestation, where dreams become reality and life unfolds in harmony with our deepest desires. The path to manifesting desires lies in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, a practice that transforms aspirations into reality through the creative power of emotion. In essence, assuming the feeling of a fulfilled wish means cultivating a deep emotional state that aligns with the life you seek to live. When we hold this feeling consistently, it alters our internal state, engaging the subconscious mind and setting in motion the necessary conditions for our desires to materialize. The act is deceptively simple yet deeply powerful, and by understanding its dynamics, we open ourselves to a life of boundless potential. The feeling of a wish fulfilled is not just a fleeting thought or hopeful daydream. It requires embodying the emotions, sensations, and certainty that we would feel if our desires were already realized. By immersing ourselves in this state, we are sending a clear signal to our subconscious mind that this reality is not only possible but already true. The subconscious, incapable of distinguishing between imagination and physical reality, begins to act on this feeling, drawing people, circumstances, and events into alignment with it. This process transcends logic. It invites us to believe in what is not yet visible, grounding our desires in a deep, heartfelt conviction. One of the most significant obstacles in manifesting our desires is the tendency to focus on their absence rather than their fulfillment. When we dwell on what we lack, we cultivate feelings of frustration, longing, and dissatisfaction. These emotions are like signals, broadcasting a state of lack, which is then mirrored in our reality. In contrast, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled allows us to transcend this state of lack and move into one of abundance. Rather than focusing on what we do not have, we center our attention on the experience of already having it. This subtle shift in focus is transformative, as it replaces doubt and yearning with joy, gratitude, and confidence. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, we must first clarify our desires. This requires honesty and self-reflection, as we often carry conflicting thoughts and emotions about what we want. Once we have identified our desires, we can begin to imagine the life we would live if those wishes were fulfilled. What would it feel like to experience this reality? How would we act, think, and respond to the world around us? By vividly imagining these details and immersing ourselves in the emotional state they evoke, we bring ourselves into harmony with our desires. The act of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not about pretending or ignoring reality. Rather, it is about aligning our inner state with the life we wish to create. When we genuinely feel as if our desires are already fulfilled, we radiate a confidence and peace that subtly influences our actions and decisions. This inner shift is often reflected in our external world as opportunities, relationships, and situations that align with our desires start to appear. In this way, we become co-creators of our reality, engaging actively with the forces that shape our lives. The power of assuming the wish fulfilled lies in the way it bypasses our conscious mind's doubts and fears. The conscious mind often gets entangled in limitations, fixating on reasons why our desires cannot be achieved. However, when we engage deeply in the feeling of fulfillment, we quiet these doubts and tap into a deeper knowing within ourselves. This state of inner certainty overrides the fears and insecurities that typically hinder us. We begin to act from a place of belief, confidence, and abundance, rather than from one of doubt and scarcity. A crucial aspect of this practice is consistency. Holding the feeling of fulfillment for a few moments is powerful, but to truly manifest our desires, we must maintain this feeling as a steady inner state. This requires us to return to the feeling repeatedly, especially in moments when doubt or fear arises. Each time we assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, we strengthen our belief in the reality of our desires. Over time, this inner belief becomes unshakable, and we begin to witness tangible changes in our lives that reflect our inner transformation. While assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is simple in concept, it often challenges us to let go of limiting beliefs and old patterns of thinking. We may find ourselves questioning whether we truly deserve our desires, or if such fulfillment is possible. These doubts are natural, but must be gently set aside. By nurturing a sense of worthiness and embracing the belief that we are entitled to a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment, we remove internal obstacles to our desires. In this way, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled becomes a powerful act of self-acceptance, inviting us to recognize our inherent value and potential. Another essential component of this practice is trust. Trust in the process, trust in the timing, and trust in the unseen forces that guide us. Often when we plant a seed, we do not see immediate results, but we continue to water it with the faith that it will grow. Similarly, when we assume the feeling of a fulfilled wish, we may not see immediate changes, yet we must persist with unwavering belief. This faith sustains us during moments of doubt and reinforces the certainty that our desires are on their way. In cultivating the feeling of the wish fulfilled, we develop a profound sense of inner peace. Rather than being swayed by external circumstances, we become anchored in our vision, moving through life with a calm assurance that our desires are already unfolding. This peace is one of the most beautiful gifts of the practice, as it frees us from the need to control or force outcomes. Instead, we simply live in the joy of the present moment, knowing that everything we seek is already within us, waiting to be expressed. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. It teaches us that we are not passive recipients of fate, but active creators, capable of shaping our reality through the power of our inner state. By embodying the feeling of fulfillment, we align ourselves with a life of purpose, abundance, and joy. This practice invites us to move beyond mere desire and into the realm of realization, where our dreams are no longer distant aspirations but living, breathing experiences within our hearts and lives. Emotions are the silent architects of our reality. Though we often perceive our emotions as private, internal experiences, they extend far beyond mere thoughts or fleeting feelings. They shape how we interact with the world, and ultimately what the world brings back to us. Emotions are more than responses to our circumstances. They are powerful forces that attract similar energies and influence the events, people, and experiences we encounter. Embracing the power of emotions means understanding that they are not passive reactions to the world around us. They are the key to manifesting the life we desire. Every emotion we feel is a signal sent out into the universe. When we feel joy, gratitude, or love, we broadcast a frequency that aligns with positive, fulfilling experiences. Conversely, emotions of anger, fear, or sadness can resonate on a lower frequency, attracting challenges that reflect those feelings. This alignment, often referred to as vibrational frequency, is fundamental to how emotions influence our experiences. The energy we radiate through our emotions is mirrored back to us in the form of circumstances that match that energy. In this way, our emotional state serves as a magnet, pulling toward us the situations and people that resonate with what we are feeling on a deep level. To fully harness the transformative power of emotions, we must be aware of how our emotions act on both the conscious and subconscious levels. While we might actively choose to feel certain emotions, our subconscious also retains emotional patterns that we may not be fully aware of. These subconscious emotional states often stem from our past experiences and belief systems, and they shape much of our behavior without us realizing it. For instance, if we harbor deep-seated fears of inadequacy, we might unconsciously sabotage opportunities for success, aligning our actions with feelings of unworthiness. Our subconscious emotions can either support or undermine our conscious desires, creating a reality that reflects not just what we want, but what we truly believe and feel on a deeper level. One powerful way to shift our reality is by cultivating emotions that align with the life we want to live. This process requires us to consciously choose and nurture positive emotions, even when circumstances might tempt us toward negativity. So, if we desire a life of abundance, for example, it is essential to foster feelings of gratitude and abundance now, regardless of our present situation. When we focus on feeling abundant, we align ourselves with experiences that reflect that abundance. Similarly, if we seek love, we must cultivate feelings of love within ourselves rather than waiting for external validation. By consistently embodying the emotions of the reality we wish to experience, we begin to attract situations that align with those emotions, bridging the gap between our desires and our current reality. Developing emotional awareness is a foundational step in this journey. Emotions are often automatic responses, shaped by past experiences, habitual thinking, and external influences. Without awareness, we may fall into reactive patterns, allowing emotions like fear, doubt, or frustration to control our actions and decisions. To shape our reality consciously, we must become mindful of our emotional landscape, observing our feelings without judgment, and identifying the emotions we wish to nurture. Through this awareness, we can begin to actively choose emotions that align with our highest aspirations, allowing us to live intentionally rather than reactively. The influence of emotions on reality also extends to our relationships and social interactions. Our emotional state not only affects how we perceive others, but also how they perceive and respond to us. When we carry positive emotions like kindness, empathy, and understanding, we are more likely to build meaningful connections and encounter people who reflect these qualities. On the other hand, emotions of jealousy, resentment, or anger can create tension and conflict in relationships, attracting individuals who mirror these negative states. By cultivating positive emotions, we improve not only our inner well-being, but also the quality of our relationships, drawing people into our lives who resonate with our positivity. Emotions serve as the bridge between our inner world and the outer reality we experience. By consciously cultivating emotions that reflect our desires, we align ourselves with a version of reality that supports and enhances our aspirations. This process does not mean ignoring or suppressing negative emotions. Instead, it involves understanding them, releasing them, and choosing to focus on emotions that uplift and empower us. Every emotion we feel is an opportunity to either elevate or diminish our reality, and by choosing our emotions wisely, we take an active role in creating the life we envision. When we recognize emotions as the creative force they are, we awaken to our power to shape reality from within. Embracing the responsibility of our emotions allows us to break free from limiting patterns and actively participate in the unfolding of our lives. By aligning our emotions with our dreams, we engage the full potential of our inner energy, transforming thoughts into feelings and feelings into reality. In this way, emotions become not merely responses to life, but instruments of creation, enabling us to live a life that is a true reflection of our highest hopes and deepest joys. Detachment from circumstances is a principle that empowers us to remain steady, purposeful, and at peace regardless of external conditions. The essence of detachment is not about ignoring or escaping our circumstances, nor is it a denial of the realities we face. Instead, it is about developing an inner resilience that allows us to maintain our state of mind and spirit, unaffected by the temporary changes or challenges that life presents. It's an understanding that while we may not control what happens around us, we have absolute control over how we respond to it. One of the most challenging aspects of detachment is releasing the need to control outcomes. We often believe that by grasping tightly and exerting force, we can shape situations to our desires. However, this approach tends to create resistance, tension, and even disappointment when things do not go as planned. Detachment invites us to replace control with trust. Instead of micromanaging life's outcomes, we set our intentions, act with purpose, and release any attachment to specific results. This shift allows us to move through life with ease, knowing that while we have the power to influence, we do not need to cling. Trusting in the process frees us from anxiety and opens up the possibility for outcomes that may surpass our expectations. Detachment also involves accepting the present moment fully, without judgment. Often our attachment to circumstances arises from our desire for them to be different than they are. We resist certain aspects of our lives, thinking that happiness will come only once those circumstances change. This mentality keeps us in a perpetual state of wanting, which hinders our ability to experience peace in the now. Detachment, on the other hand, allows us to accept the present moment as it is. By embracing the here and now, we release ourselves from the suffering of wishing things were otherwise and open ourselves to the possibility of joy, even in imperfect conditions. A key aspect of detachment is understanding the difference between involvement and attachment. Detachment does not mean we cease to care about our goals, relationships, or responsibilities. It does not require indifference or apathy. Instead, it teaches us to be fully engaged and present without letting our identity become entangled in our circumstances. When we are detached, we can be deeply involved, giving our best efforts and full attention to our pursuits, yet without defining our worth by their outcomes. This approach liberates us from the fear of failure and the pressure of perfectionism, allowing us to express our best selves without the weight of constant self-judgment. Practicing detachment requires self-awareness and an understanding of our thoughts and emotional patterns. Often our attachments are fueled by deep-seated beliefs or fear of loss, fear of not being enough, or the belief that our happiness depends on external conditions. By examining these beliefs, we can begin to understand what drives our need to cling to circumstances. This insight helps us dismantle attachments at their roots, replacing fear-based thinking with trust, acceptance, and self-assurance. Through this process, we cultivate an inner strength that does not waver, regardless of what unfolds around us. One powerful tool for developing detachment is mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, we observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment or identification. Rather than reacting to our circumstances automatically, we create a space of awareness where we can choose our response. This awareness helps us recognize when we are becoming overly attached to an outcome or when we are allowing circumstances to dictate our mood. By returning to the present moment, we break free from the cycle of reactivity, remaining anchored in our inner peace rather than being swept away by external events. Another essential element of detachment is letting go of the stories we tell ourselves about what should or shouldn't happen. These mental narratives often drive our attachments, as they create fixed ideas about how life ought to be. Detachment requires us to release these narratives, opening ourselves to the mystery and spontaneity of life. By loosening our grip on our preconceived notions, we become more adaptable and resilient, able to flow with whatever arises. Life then becomes less of a battle to make things conform to our desires and more of an unfolding journey, where each moment is met with openness and curiosity. Detachment from circumstances allows us to experience a profound freedom. This freedom comes from knowing that our happiness and self-worth are not dependent on any particular condition, achievement, or relationship. We are free to pursue our dreams and engage in meaningful work, not out of a need for validation or success, but from a place of genuine passion and purpose. Our relationships, too, are enriched by detachment, as we no longer cling to others out of insecurity or fear. Instead, we can love and connect from a place of authenticity, offering our presence without expecting anything in return. In a detached state, we recognize that everything in life is temporary. Circumstances, no matter how challenging or gratifying, come and go. Detachment helps us find stability within this impermanence. We learn to appreciate each experience without clinging, knowing that change is the only constant. This acceptance of life's fluid nature brings a sense of peace, for we are no longer resisting the inevitable flow of change. We learn to navigate life's transitions with grace, releasing the past and welcoming the future without fear or regret. Through detachment, we reclaim our power to create a fulfilling life rooted in inner stability and peace. It allows us to live fully engaged yet unaffected by life's ups and downs, trusting in our resilience and embracing the present moment as it is. This practice of detachment is not a denial of life, but a deeper engagement with it, one that recognizes our ability to find happiness, peace, and purpose, not in external conditions, but within the unchanging core of who we are. The principle of feel, then act transforms the way we approach our goals and desires. By starting with the feeling of our fulfilled desire, we align our entire being with that reality, allowing our actions to arise naturally from this place of inner fulfillment. This approach not only enhances the effectiveness of our actions but also brings a sense of joy, peace, and trust to the process. We no longer strive or struggle to achieve. Instead, we live as though our desires are already fulfilled, creating a seamless flow between our inner world and our external reality. This alignment between feeling and action is the key to manifesting a life that is not only successful but also deeply meaningful and satisfying. To shape our lives in alignment with our deepest desires, persistence in the desired feeling is essential. It is not enough to experience our desired emotions sporadically. We must sustain these feelings consistently, allowing them to become the dominant tone of our inner world. Through this persistence, we condition our subconscious mind to accept our desires as present realities. Just as we cultivate a skill or a habit through regular practice, we can cultivate and deepen our connection to the feelings that align with our desires. This persistence solidifies the emotional state we wish to embody, drawing experiences that mirror it into our lives. Persistence in the desired feeling means returning to that feeling over and over, especially when external circumstances seem contrary to our desire. It's easy to feel abundant, loved, or successful when our lives reflect these states. But the true power of persistence lies in our ability to maintain these feelings even when circumstances would tempt us to think otherwise. Life's ebbs and flows will sometimes bring experiences that test our resolve, but in those moments our commitment to the desired feeling becomes most transformative. When we continue to feel abundant in the face of scarcity or feel loved even when feeling alone, we are sending a powerful message to our subconscious that our inner state is not determined by outer events. This steadfastness gradually reshapes our reality, as the inner always manifests outwardly in time. So, our minds naturally revert to familiar emotional patterns and states. If we've spent years feeling lack, worry, or doubt, those feelings may arise easily and frequently. Persistent feeling practice helps to reprogram this pattern by creating new emotional habits that become more natural and automatic with time. By choosing to feel abundant, loved, or at peace repeatedly, we establish a new baseline for our emotional experience. Over time, the desired feeling becomes our default, and our subconscious no longer needs convincing. It simply assumes this is who we are, and as it accepts this new reality, our actions, reactions, and circumstances begin to align with this assumption. The act of persisting in the desired feeling is not about ignoring reality, but about recognizing the power of our inner state to create a new reality. When we focus on the feeling of our fulfilled desire, we are not denying the present, but rather choosing to focus on what we wish to experience. This shift in focus gradually transforms our perspective, allowing us to see opportunities and possibilities where previously we may have seen obstacles. By giving our attention to the feeling of our fulfilled desire, we are nurturing the seed of our desired reality, helping it grow into a lived experience. Maintaining the desired feeling requires discipline, especially when faced with circumstances that contradict it. One powerful way to persist in the desired feeling is through visualization. By regularly imagining our desired outcome and immersing ourselves in the emotions it evokes, we reinforce the connection between our inner state and our external goals. Visualization helps bridge the gap between our current experience and our desired reality, making the feeling of fulfillment more accessible even in challenging moments. When we see and feel our desired reality vividly in our mind's eye, we are less likely to waver in the face of obstacles, as we have a clear, compelling vision that sustains our emotional state. Affirmations can also be effective in supporting persistence in the desired feeling. By repeating positive statements that reflect our desired state, we reinforce the belief that this state is possible and present. However, affirmations must be used with sincerity and conviction. It is not enough to repeat words mechanically. The key is to feel the truth of the affirmation as we say it, allowing it to resonate within us. When we feel the truth of our affirmations, they become more than mere words. They become anchors that help us return to the desired feeling, even in moments of doubt or distraction. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in persisting in the desired feeling, as it brings awareness to our thoughts and emotions. By practicing mindfulness, we become more aware of when we are slipping into old emotional patterns that do not serve our desires. We can observe these patterns without judgment, simply recognizing them and then gently redirecting our focus to the desired feeling. This conscious redirection is an act of persistence. It's a choice to return to the feeling we wish to embody, moment after moment, day after day. With each redirection, we strengthen our ability to maintain the desired feeling, creating a steady emotional foundation that supports the manifestation of our goals. Persistence in the desired feeling also requires patience and trust in the process. There may be times when our outer reality does not yet reflect our inner work, but in those moments we must remember that transformation takes time. The seeds of our desires need time to grow, and by persisting in the desired feeling, we are providing them with the energy and nourishment they need. Patience allows us to stay focused on the feeling without becoming discouraged by immediate results. Trust reinforces this patience, reminding us that as long as we hold the desired feeling, the outer world will eventually reflect it back to us. Over time, persistence in the desired feeling changes our identity. We begin to see ourselves as individuals who are already living in alignment with our desires, and this shift in identity is powerful. When we see ourselves as abundant, loved, or successful, we naturally make choices and take actions that align with this self-concept. This alignment brings about opportunities, relationships, and circumstances that reflect our inner state. The world begins to mirror back the inner reality we have persistently cultivated, and we find ourselves living the life we once envisioned. Persistence in the desired feeling is about creating a harmonious relationship between our inner and outer worlds. By choosing to feel as if our desires are already fulfilled, we align our emotions, beliefs, and actions with this truth, and our lives gradually conform to this new reality. This process is both simple and profound, as it asks us to rely not on external validation but on our own inner conviction. As we hold steady in the feeling of our fulfilled desire, we become the creators of our reality, shaping our lives from the inside out, one persistent feeling at a time. The feeling of gratitude and certainty is transformative, a force that can profoundly shape our lives. When we combine gratitude with certainty, we align ourselves with the belief that what we desire is already ours. This combination creates a powerful emotional foundation, reinforcing the reality we wish to see and attracting experiences that mirror it. Gratitude allows us to acknowledge what we have, while certainty assures us that more is unfolding in our favor. Together, these feelings shape our thoughts, actions, and ultimately our world. Gratitude shifts our attention to what is already good, valuable, and enriching in our lives. Instead of focusing on lack, we choose to see the abundance around us, even in small things. This shift is significant because our thoughts and emotions influence what we attract. By feeling grateful, we send a message to our subconscious mind that we are already living in abundance, contentment, and fulfillment. This feeling is a declaration that we are complete in this moment, reinforcing a state of satisfaction. When we focus on gratitude, we are less likely to be swayed by temporary difficulties, as our attention is anchored in appreciation. On the other hand, is the unwavering belief that our desires are on their way, that they are already unfolding in the invisible realms of reality. It is a state of deep trust and conviction that what we seek is not only possible, but also inevitable. Certainty transforms our desire into a fact in our minds, dissolving doubt and fear. When we embody certainty, we no longer question whether we will achieve our goals or receive what we desire instead. We know it is simply a matter of time. This knowing enables us to take actions and make choices aligned with our goals, acting from a place of confidence and calm assurance. When we pair gratitude with certainty, we create a potent emotional state that draws our desires closer to us. Gratitude opens us up to the blessings we already have, amplifying the feeling of abundance, while certainty ensures that we remain steady in our vision, unshaken by circumstances or setbacks. This pairing creates a feedback loop. As we feel grateful for what we already have, we reinforce our belief in the goodness of life, which strengthens our certainty that more good things are coming. This mindset shift empowers us to face challenges with resilience, knowing that every experience, good or bad, is part of our journey to fulfillment. The feeling of gratitude and certainty changes the way we interact with the world. When we feel grateful, we approach people and situations with a sense of generosity, openness, and compassion. We are less likely to feel competitive, envious, or anxious because we trust that life is abundant and we are fully supported. Certainty, meanwhile, allows us to remain composed and focused even when external events seem to contradict our desires. With certainty, we don't need constant validation or reassurance from others because our confidence comes from within. This internal alignment with gratitude and certainty attracts positive relationships, opportunities, and experiences, as others are naturally drawn to our sense of fulfillment and calm confidence. Practicing gratitude and certainty requires intention and awareness. It's easy to be grateful when life is going well, but to truly embody gratitude, we must find things to appreciate even in difficult times. This practice involves looking for small moments of joy, beauty, or kindness that may otherwise go unnoticed. By cultivating a habit of gratitude, we train our minds to focus on the positive aspects of our lives, making it easier to maintain this feeling even when circumstances are challenging. Similarly, certainty requires us to hold onto our vision and trust in the process, especially when our progress is not immediately visible. Certainty is not passive, it involves actively choosing to believe in our vision and acting in alignment with it. Visualization can be a powerful tool for cultivating both gratitude and certainty. When we visualize our desires as already fulfilled, we immerse ourselves in the feeling of having what we want. As we visualize, we can tap into the emotions of gratitude for already receiving our desire and certainty that it is part of our reality. This practice conditions our mind to accept this outcome as real, making it easier to maintain these feelings in our daily lives. The more vividly we imagine our desired outcome and feel grateful for it, the stronger our sense of certainty becomes. Visualization helps bridge the gap between our current reality and our desired state, reinforcing our belief that what we seek is already within reach. Affirmations are another effective way to cultivate gratitude and certainty. By repeating statements that reflect our desired feelings and beliefs, we reinforce these emotions within ourselves. For instance, affirming, "I am grateful for all the blessings in my life, and I am certain that more are on the way," allows us to anchor ourselves in these feelings. However, affirmations are most effective when we say them with feeling, allowing ourselves to truly connect with the words. When we feel the truth of our affirmations, they resonate on a deeper level, transforming our mindset and reinforcing the emotions of gratitude and certainty. When we live from a place of gratitude and certainty, we begin to notice synchronicities and signs that confirm our beliefs. These signs are reflections of our inner state, reinforcing our conviction that we are on the right path. The more we tune into this inner guidance, the more we trust the process, creating a self-sustaining cycle of positive reinforcement. This alignment with gratitude and certainty empowers us to take inspired action, not from a place of lack or need, but from a place of joy and anticipation. We act not to obtain something we lack, but to express the abundance we already feel, which makes our actions more effective and fulfilling. Gratitude and certainty also cultivate a deep sense of peace. When we are grateful, we are not grasping or striving, we are content with the present moment. Certainty frees us from doubt and worry, allowing us to trust in the unfolding of our lives. Together, these feelings create a sense of inner stability that is not easily shaken by external events. This peace allows us to enjoy the journey, knowing that every step is part of our path to fulfillment. We become less focused on achieving specific outcomes and more engaged with the process, trusting that each moment is bringing us closer to our desires. The feeling of gratitude and certainty is a powerful foundation for manifesting a fulfilling life. By choosing to live in gratitude, we affirm that we are already complete, and by embracing certainty, we reinforce our trust in the unfolding of our desires. Together, these feelings create a harmonious inner state that aligns with the abundant reality we wish to experience. This alignment shapes our thoughts, actions, and experiences, creating a life that reflects our deepest aspirations and values. Through gratitude and certainty, we not only attract what we desire, but also find joy, peace, and fulfillment along the way. In conclusion, the journey of cultivating the feeling of gratitude and certainty is one of profound transformation. By consistently nurturing these powerful emotions, we align ourselves with the abundant, fulfilling life we desire. Gratitude allows us to appreciate the blessings already present in our lives, while certainty assures us that our desires are already on their way. Together, these feelings create a strong emotional foundation that shapes our reality, transforming our thoughts actions, and experiences in alignment with our goals. Thank you for taking the time to explore the power of gratitude and certainty with me. May you continue to embrace these feelings in your own life, knowing that they are key to manifesting the abundance and fulfillment you seek. Keep trusting in the process, remain grateful for what you have, and be certain that your desires are already unfolding. Thank you.